Holy shit, we are late. And I completely blame that on me. Welcome to Breakfast with Scotch and Toast. I'm Jim Jesus, and I'm here with Scotch and Toast. How are you guys?
I like the fact that I am now the human personification of alcoholism.
Nice.
I'd say that's accurate.
It's true.
So I'm going to explain quickly, and I mean very quickly, why I was late. It's Veterans Day, or Armorous Day, which is what it should be called. And I figured, hey, there's not going to be any traffic today. No one's going to go to work today. It's Veterans Day. So I decided, hey, I'm going to spend a couple more minutes just relaxing after a hard night's work at the Chick-fil-A, enjoying myself a spicy deluxe combo. Fantastic, by the way. And then got on the freeway, and wouldn't you know, some guy thought it'd be a good idea to ram into a 16-wheeler. So that held up traffic for a little bit, and then I realized, oh shit, I'm out of gas, so I had to stop and get gas, and so everything was just a fuck. Everything was just fucked. And of course, my cat was like, hey, I haven't seen you for 18 hours. We play right now. I was like,
I love your cat so much.
She's awesome. Yeah, Meffy is awesome. So, what were we going to talk about? What should we talk about first? Because there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. Because
there's a lot of content to talk about.
There was a lot of interesting things that happened last night. Oh boy!
I think first we have to address the whole Jim Jesus is mentally ill thing, because that made me keck. I had some serious comedy out of that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is clearly mentally ill. Be right back. I'm having auditory hallucinations.
Oof.
Oh, dude, like. I like the fact that he never specifies what the issue is. Like, it's just sort of like, he just...
Oof.
Oh, dude.
You just cut out. What was that?
Oh, I was just like, I like the fact that he never specifies what's wrong with you. He just says that something is.
Right. Well, because clearly I'm a doxer, right? Even though, like, none of the information that I gave out went public, except for the one thing that he said I was perfectly okay for me to give out. That was okay.
Wait, you're that Jim?
Yes. Yes.
I thought he was talking about, like, my friend Jim.
Oh.
Oh, I gotta send him a text. Hold on. Oops.
So yeah, there was a very interesting debate that happened last night, because we are really fucking bearing the lead right now. There was a debate between his name is so hard to remember. Dude, please pick another username. Yeah, it's XBL Spartan 170X or something. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue. And he's a conservative. Seems like he's a more center right. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. And it was a complete train wreck. And it started off bad right off the bat because he was late. Spartan was debating esoteric, or no, he's Eso the Free, Midnight Phantom, as we're supposed to call him. That's slave names.
Okay, yeah.
No slave names around here.
No slave names here.
Yeah. So he showed up late for unspecified reasons, and he was like, "That's none of your business," and that's fair. Right? That's completely fair.
He came in and he was already a bit of a dick. It was like, all right then, nice one. This is going to be a total fucking shit show.
And so or Midnight Phantom was gloating like, haha, he's late. I mean, I'd be late if I had to debate me too, because I'd be scared of me too. And I'm sitting here wondering, well, what debate have you won? Like, you're the only person I know that has a perfect loss history. Like, perfect loss history. Like, not... It's a perfect record of losses when it comes to debating people, and it's mostly communists.
Oh, okay. No, we have to... after that, though, he talks about the autistic...
He talks about the what? You cut out.
The autistic lisp.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, my God. Toast, did you see that bit?
See that?
There we go. That should probably help a little bit. I moved the server closer to me. Okay. Yeah, he was saying that someone, was he saying that Spartan had the lisp? He was saying that
no, about Toast.
Yeah. Oh, that Toast had
Oh. Is that what you were talking about yesterday? Yes. I couldn't figure it out. Okay.
He was like, because it was about the Shane Killian debate, and he was like, it's like for autists and Shane Killian. because they all have the autistic lisp. And then Filthy Heretic asks, "Do I have that lisp?" And everyone's thinking, "Yeah, you do."
Yeah.
Oh no.
And then he was like, "Well, yeah." He laid it on really light, like, it's a little, not too bad. But no, he has it really bad. He was like, "Well, I have autism, so that makes sense." Well, do I have to do my filthy voice?
Yes, you do.
Am I required right now to do my filthy voice?
You are indeed required, yeah.
Okay, now they did it. Oh, hi, I'm the heretic, and I have the autism voice lisp. Yeah. I really accented that lisp on the lisp.
Oh my god. How was he the moderator?
Yeah, he's a bad choice for a moderator. You're supposed to have a moderator that should not be like on any particular person's side or friend or anything like that. He violated like 2 of those rules right off the bat because Esso and him or Midnight and him are like ideologically identical.
Yeah, because they're basically just.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You, Midnight, and Filthy Heretic have to be the same person now, Jim. I'm sorry.
I can see it.
The joke was on all of you. It was me all along. It was me all along.
I was just pretending to be retarded.
I'm just pretending to be autistic. Did I do a good job, guys?
You did a beautiful job.
What was particularly interesting was that they were going on for a while because he was late, and they were gloating about like he's a big pussy, and he's a big pussy. Look at this pussy. He's late. Ha ha ha. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, you're calling him a pussy for being 30 minutes late, but you're like 10 months late debating me. Every opportunity that you've had to debate me, you've found some reason. Oh, my microphone's broken. Upload a video with my microphone the next day. I can't do it because of whatever reason. And then the big one was when I did my Change My Mind video live stream series. He said he was going to come on. I was like, I will start a whole new stream so that no one has a link. It'll just be you and me, just one-on-one debate, whatever you want. You can even bring a friend, whatever. And then it was like, oh no, you're just going to have a bunch of people come on and gang pile on me.
And then, dude, we also had the one ready like a couple of weeks ago, and he bitched out of that one as well. Like,
yeah. And to be fair, I didn't bitch out on one particular instance, but I did have to say, can we move it back a week because, my cat that I've had since I was in high school passed away, and I had to put her to sleep because she was in a lot of pain, and I was like completely in a fucking train wreck. I was like, can we fucking move it back a week? But then he just bailed out after that, so it was like, okay. So
yeah.
After 10 months of you backing out completely, you're not in the position to call anybody a bitch for pussing out or being late or anything. Just not. Yeah.
Also, the chat. Can we just talk about the chat for 1 second on that?
The one that I was banned from. the one that everybody was like, oh my God, Jim's being completely reasonable right now. Don't dogpile on him. Don't call him a potato. Don't call him dickless or whatever we're doing. Whatever 5-year-old insults were. Insults that are fit for 5-year-olds. They're throwing at me. They're like, can we calm it down a little bit? And then just when everybody was like having peaceful interactions with me, SO came in and banned me from the chat.
Wait, did he?
I didn't even know that.
Dude.
Yeah, as soon as he said, hold on, I'm looking at the chat, I was like, uh-oh.
Christ.
So I waited a couple minutes, and then I logged out, or I went to my private browser and looked back in, and all my messages were deleted. I was like, you fucking bitch.
Oh my Christ.
And
also, I was just going to talk about. So obviously, this was a crowd it's very friendly to our good friend Midnight Phantom. Mm-hmm. Did anyone notice how much of a big man Lion Revan was trying to act? Oh my!
I don't know.
It was just like
who?
Who's that?
Darth Revan, right? Basically, their little hype man butt buddy, right?
Oh, I saw a little bit of him. Yeah.
And he was just like endless stream of Jim is dickless, and then he tried to throw some shit at me, and I was like, Revan, don't do this right now. I have like like a whole life comes at you fast dedicated to you. You don't want to do this.
Yeah, I was just mostly ignoring those things. I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, that's the kind of shit that we were saying when I was in elementary school. Like, haha, you're big stupid poopy head. You have no pee-pee. Haha, Mr. Potato Head guy. It's like, okay, whatever.
Oh god.
Literally, a 3-year-old
okay.
flips me shit better than you.
So
I was just ignoring that, and I was just talking to people who were actually like interested in having a conversation with me, because there was a lot of things that were said that were clearly wrong. You pointed one out and got kicked from the from the debate.
Yeah, no, I don't I was supporting his position, and then he kicked me.
Mm-hmm.
I was so confused.
You were like, you're right in conclusion, but you're wrong on the specifics type of thing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he I was basically telling him, look, it's not that the government can't do it, it's that when it does it, it's unethical. Yeah, you should just mute yourself. It's not your debate, buddy. Oh, okay.
And then immediately afterwards, Filthy and Esso both were dogpiling that one person. It's like, wait a minute, I thought it was just their debate. Why are you getting involved,
I know
Filthy?
I mean, at one point, Midnight does tell Filthy to like calm down, but I think that's because of the like outrageous backlash that was going on in chat. Did you see the people that were like, "Why was Toast kicked? He was moderating well," and it's like he's not even the moderator.
Yeah, I was kind of starting a revolution.
Oh, dude. Okay. Is that all the background to the? So I really think we should go through and just see how smug you look first of all, Toast.
Oh God, I
And
was
secondly,
smug.
that moment when you just drop the sickest debate ender of 2018.
Well, I don't think we should say false things.
It was pretty sick, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should be better. I think there was some little bit of echo.
Oof.
So I fixed that. So, anyways, what were you guys saying? Sorry.
Prom was going over how smug I was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if we've got the background out the way, we should probably go through and take a look at just at the highlights reel of just. Oh my Christ!
You have
So the amount-
timestamps, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one in your esoteric entity. It's right before I started talking, before they kicked me out.
Let me see.
I just love the first face you make when you join. Is so smug. So
when I first joined.
Yeah, even that was really smug.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I had my coat on and everything. I was
Oh,
ready to
sounds
go. I
good.
just.
No, that wasn't me talking. That was the audio playing.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had just gotten back from hanging out with my friends because I was called into the debate just out of nowhere. Oh. I
Okay,
was ready to go.
All right. So when exactly does it start that you started saying this? I have it. You're gonna have to play it along with you because you guys aren't gonna be able to hear it. That's just the way the nature of the beast.
Free.
So we'll do it basically kind of like how the kill stream does. Like I'll play it and I'll tell you when I pause it through timestamps.
Yeah, hold on.
What timestamp are you at currently?
So I'm at 1:13:31.
So 1 moment. I talk exactly at 1:13:38.
Okay, so 31, just to have a good.
Yeah.
So yeah, like basically, what exactly were they saying while everybody's loading this up?
So the precursor to this was ESO had said, Midnight, no slave names.
No slave names.
He said that governments can't produce something out of themselves because they can only waste, they can only be inefficient. But then I point out that they can actually optimize utility, which is something that's You know. Oh.
It's definitely,
Yeah,
it's definitely not any out of any orthodox. I think what everybody says is typically that they don't, and over long periods of times they definitely don't.
No,
but it's kind of, like
I don't think
it's kind of like how
well.
socialist programs work fantastic for the first month or two that they're instituted. Then it starts breaking down over time. Like if we were to institute national health care overnight, everything would be fine. But after a while, that's when everything starts to break down.
And even if it did work, right, they're still imposing costs on people that don't have any choice in the matter.
Correct.
So it's unethical no matter how you slice it.
Yeah. I don't know about the unethical part. Nice spooks, nerd.
All right.
Excuse me.
Well, we can get into that one later.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Hey, let's play later, okay, dude? Yeah, we'll play later. Go play over there.
I love that cat.
I don't want you falling behind the washing machine. Okay, so are we ready to play this? Sorry, new kitten.
Yeah, I think we're ready.
I love it.
I love how this unlisted video has 347 views.
Yeah, because it was a complete train wreck. Everybody's watching it now.
Can't look away.
Yeah. And let's see. I'm gonna.
Hey, did you unlist?
God damn you! Come here.
Yeah, it's unlisted.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Jim actually thought it was deleted last night.
Dude, I would have cried. I would have cried if they deleted this because it's the most beautiful piece of entertainment. Oh.
Fucking kittens, man. All right, so we're gonna. Hey, Trollbucks. Hey, Rico. All right, so we're gonna play at 1:31 or 1:13:31. Ready?
Roger.
All right.
Private producers, which is it's designed to function this way. So,
if I may, there is an argument for governments creating Pareto efficiencies using Pigouvian taxes. Of course, the voluntarist argument here is that such taxes are unethical, but there is an argument that they do actually increase utility.
okay, well, stay muted because it's not.
His response.
Yeah, there's an argument. I'd have to look into that, but
Oh no!
All right, so we're pausing at 1:14. Yeah, pausing at 14:12. So, do you want to expand a little bit about what you mean? Because before you could even get into it, he was like, "Yeah, mute your mic."
Yeah. So, I believe I misspoke. So it's actually not a Pareto efficient. It becomes what we call socially efficient.
Okay.
So Pigouvian taxes or a subsidy, it can actually work either way, is when governments impose a tax or subsidy not to raise revenues, but the only reason is to internalize an externality within the market.
Okay.
So to put it plainly, let's say, paper production causes a bunch of carbon dioxide to go into the air, which of course is toxic for people to breathe. It would be an externality because people who don't necessarily buy paper still have to deal with the consequences of that. And so society as a whole, society latissime, would say that paper production should be less, but the people consuming paper don't necessarily believe that. So then they step in and essentially raise the costs in order to bring market equilibrium to a socially optimal level.
So it's kind of like the whole carbon credit thing. The idea is that you tax it to decentivize certain behaviors, or soda taxes.
Right, but it's not to generate revenue. It's solely to maximize utility.
Okay. So yeah,
they don't work very often because the government doesn't know what's going on in the market, and they're also not necessarily ethical. I know that's not an argument you like, but that's the one I was using that they would accept.
Oh God! Yeah.
On how I want to clarify something. When I say like, oh, ethics are spook, like of course there's ethics that I follow, but I think the differential is I don't think that it's like objectively true that certain ethics are 100% true and should be followed all the way. Like, I have ethics, and stealing from people is fucking shitty. That's pretty much the rule. Like something like the NAP is something that I kind of follow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that, like, oh, all ethics are spooked. Do whatever you want. Like, not even egoists really believe that. And oh, by the way, there was also another thing that he said in one of his other videos is that he's an egoist, far right libertarian, and I'm like, no, I'm post right, but I'm a Satanist. I don't, even when I was really into Stirner, I wouldn't have called myself completely an egoist. I'd say that I had egoist leanings. But yeah, Satanism does come with a bundle of ethics. You know,
I'd call that the big gay.
I would have to agree with that, but
Yeah. I want to look at Toast's face on Jim's screen right now.
well, we could see
Yeah,
Toast. We could see Toast's face in that video.
He is the smuggest individual.
I actually laughed so hard I couldn't stop myself. Like no. A few seconds after, I keep going on, and the sheer ability for me to control myself right then, I don't know how I did it.
Yeah,
I think it's just the fact that he says, "Okay, just mute yourself," is the weakest thing you can ever hear, and it's so.
Yep.
Yeah, it keeps going though.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna play at 14:12.
Yep.
But the point is that the government has to constantly increase taxes. Everything exists on an exponential growth curve, and this comes from the fact that the government doesn't actually produce anything.
Well, again, they can increase utility.
How do they increase utility?
Well, they can use Pigouvian taxes in order to increase utility by internalizing externalities. The private market can also do this. So the argument is that Pigouvian taxes are unethical, but you can't just say that the government can't produce utility.
Well, it doesn't produce utility because everything that it produces, for one thing, is not competitive. It's inherently inefficient. Also, it operates completely outside of price ratios because it's owned and controlled by a monopolized entity, and it doesn't actually have to follow the laws of competition.
Well, are you familiar with the idea of a Pigouvian tax or subsidy?
XBL Spartan and I are debating and we're kind of taking this up here.
Well, I know, but I don't think we should
I said
say
that
false
because he
information
completely
there.
ignored my argument.
Yeah, pausing at 15:38. What was that?
I said that because he completely ignored my argument.
Like, I don't even understand how.
You don't understand how?
Trying to think of how to phrase this without being.
I thought you should maybe short-circuited.
Yeah, I know.
It is early in the morning.
You keep playing with those ants. I keep telling you, leave those ants alone. You need to get on the arachno capitalism bandwagon.
You're disgusting. You are
Consequentialist, arachno-capitalist. Honestly, just get the
ant caps, get out.
So I'm bringing up that the government can optimize utility, and he starts going off on how because it's a monopoly, apparently it can't optimize utility. Even monopolists can optimize utility. They just have to have perfect price discrimination, which is again impossible. But like, his entire argument is so baffling. I don't understand it.
It's because I don't think he understands what he's saying.
I think he's just using buzzwords.
Yeah,
I agree.
And that's not uncommon. I think there was another video that someone made. I can't remember who was pointing out that there was a lot of word salady things that he tends to do.
Yeah, that was
I can't
kind of.
remember who. I can't remember who was that. Who was that?
Oh, I don't know. I hear he's really handsome. I hear he makes really good content on YouTube too.
Allegedly. I don't want to put a big allegedly around that one.
Is it that a took most guy?
No, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I hear he really likes insects. You know.
Yeah, but not those damned
Arachnids. How
arachnids.
dare you?
Not even insects. They have 8 legs. Disgusting.
Jeez.
6 legs or go home.
Honestly, this
I put the chat up. The instant I put the chat up on the screen, someone decides they want to drop the N-bomb. Thanks, guys.
Fantastic.
it's too perfect.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I can't control chat. I mean, it doesn't even show up on my thing. I think it's actually a blocked words from YouTube. So YouTube doesn't show it in the actual chat itself, but it shows it in the Streamlab. So this is all your fault, guys. You broke this.
You know what's the bot? Do you know the AI that takes a text and sort of tries to generate what comes next? Like tries to generate a sequel, basically.
Oh.
I think Midnight is basically that AI, but with like a single book of Rothbard and maybe like a bank of Lysander Spooner quotes.
I think it's more Molyneux than Rothbard.
Steph.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of Rothbard, Molyneuxian when he talks about things. But I don't know. I think Molyneux has a really poor understanding of a lot of this stuff too, though, which is interesting considering that he calls himself a philosopher.
I also remember that there's been some absolutely like mentally deficient philosophers over the years as well.
Yeah.
Like not everyone is Descartes.
Yeah, not everyone is David Friedman.
dude, do you remember Midnight's fake laugh?
Oh yeah. Is there any way that we can get the timestamp to his? Because there was definitely 2 major Sargonisms that were at play during this debate. It sort of took place towards the end.
Since Toast, yeah, I'll go through the actual video. I'll let Toast talk about what happened here.
Yeah.
Well, what?
So you know what Sargonisms is, right? It's a list of things that Jim, aka Mr. Medicare, had noticed that certain things that Sargon of Akkad does during debates or discussions, and 2 of which Esso did. First one was the smug fake laugh. Anytime someone says something that puts them in an uncomfortable place or whatever, an obviously fake laugh comes out, and it's very smug. He did that at that one point of the debate. The other one is that he'll try to back out of the debate for whatever reason by using the excuse that he's tired. Yeah, because Sargon likes to sleep, and he ended up doing that towards the end of the debate. Like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I'm like, dude, it's like 8:00 Pacific. What are you doing?
I mean, he could be like a boomer.
Yeah.
In a Zoomer's body.
Yeah. So any luck finding it? I wish. I mean, I was banned from the chat, so it's not like I can scroll through the chat or anything. Because there was a point where some people, you included, I think, Prom, were pointing out like fake laugh. Oof. You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
I'm trying to find the smug laugh.
The smug laugh.
This debate is so trash. Like, as soon as Toast leaves, it's bottom tier content.
Yeah, and it's interesting because at the start of the video, they were accusing each other of interrupting each other.
They accuse each other of that like the entire way through, dude.
Yeah, but they were both doing it. They were both interrupting each other the whole time. And then it got even worse when Filthy came in. Then you had like 3 people interrupting each other. I bet Jim never read Loki. I only read LaVey. If it doesn't come out of Underworld Amusements, I don't read it.
And we just put the boomers in the camp. I think that's my new favorite one.
Yeah. So anyways, we ended up, while you're still looking for that, I might as well show this little piece of gold. Where did this come from? Because you're the one that posted it. Where the hell is that chat at? That's what I have a hard time finding. There it is.
Or where did what come from? I'm scared.
There's a screen cap, and it looks like you took a picture of the actual screen.
Oh, it's
itself.
literally on that video, I think. I had to screen cap it okay, it's not a screen cap. I had to take a picture of it with my phone on my computer screen because YouTube was being very weird and hiding it.
I found something else, which is just, I think I brought this up to you, Jim, as I was going on. The bit where he's like, all governments have to have a constitution or some sort of legal document.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, what? Excuse me? Do you think Genghis Khan went around like slamming down a bit of paper? Like, all right, lads, here's the rule.
No, they didn't. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
He just went up to a town and was like, all right, open the gates and give us some stuff or we'll just take it. And then most towns were like, feel.
Okay, so it was taken from this video off a comment chain started by Hoplu, if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know who Hoplu is.
Don't
see Hoplu.
No, it doesn't show up. You have to be part of that that little chain.
Maybe if I hit newer first, it'll show up. No, there it is. Yeah, sometimes it does that. YouTube will like disappear comments. They're not deleted. You just have to hit newest first. And there
Spooky.
It is. So there it is. Jim is a doxer. He has some legit mental issues. If I were you, I would not associate with him. Coming from a guy who was complaining that he was getting auditory hallucinations during the stress that was brought upon by fighting Mr. Dapperton and losing handedly.
Oof.
Well, I mean, what do you expect? A guy's going to go after you dox his fucking kid and his baby mama. Of course he's going to he's going to go hard in the paint.
Yeah, I was in the Discord when he found out about that. He was not happy.
No, I was there too. How did you get in there? I closed the door.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me in the Discord. And I was like,
brat.
Pretty sure I've been there longer.
So yeah.
Dude, this debate is so dry.
I'm not even going to try to go. That would be excruciating playing this thing all the way through. We had a feeling that he was going to delete it. I think, and I thought he had deleted it at first. What happened was I had some video playing, and the video was removed by the user. So I was probably watching some other video that was removed by the user, and then I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, it's gone." And I went and checked that video was gone. I was like, "Was that what I was watching?" And I checked his channel, and that debate was gone. So I was like, "Oof, he did delete it." And then you were like, and then you pointed out like, "No, it's still there." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I was going to be very sad because I was planning on downloading the little bit where I talked and putting that on my channel. I think it fits with the rest of my content.
Would it be in trash tier? I mean, come on. Ant Cap, come on. Everybody.
What are you talking? Trash tier? Excuse me?
Everybody knows that arachno capitalism is best
Jim,
capitalism.
If you're going to keep being inflammatory like this, if you're going to keep being problematic, I just can't be on your stream anymore.
You don't know what you're talking about. That's not what I said, Jim. That's not what I said. Watching Yeso makes me convinced that I can debate without reading books. Yeah.
Please don't.
You can. But as Monster Energy lunch meat has taught us, that just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. Just saying. Yeah. That sounds like a romantic argument, Toast.
Found it.
Oh,
Where's the timestamp? We got it.
1:32:30.
What was it?
1:32:30, and just watch for a little bit, and then it happens. The
One-
smuggest laugh of all time.
1:32:30.
Okay. 1:32:30.
Harvey,
Yeah, that's
for
the amount.
example, the cost for
You think
a-
prices should be linked to demand? That sounds like Keynesianism to me.
What?
Lithium oxide.
No,
Fake
this
life.
is after I was physically removed, so to speak.
What? So you're saying that Keynesians are
Yes,
they-
Keynesians
Okay.
say that prices should go up based on demand, and I don't agree with
Keynesians
that. I'm just
Keynesianism. Paused it, by the way. 3257. Keynesians.
What was that?
I paused it with 3257. Yeah, but you got a little bit of his smug chuckle. What has been the spoonerism for that? Oh, jeez.
Do you love this fake laugh or what? It's a beautifully fake.
Chug Smuckles. There we go.
Exactly.
I had to type it out and rearrange the words manually to say the spoonerism because my brain don't work like that. And then he did the "I'm tired" too. So
Yeah, no, he is. Oh,
so does Keynesian? What did he say? What was his claim that that was so funny?
I honestly, I have no idea.
Let me watch.
It's something so dry as well. I have no idea how he could have found it that funny.
Yeah. I'm gonna rewind it and try this again.
God.
Maybe I can hear exactly what the argument was.
Did you see in the chat as well where they were like, "Bring Jim on"?
Harvey, for example, the cost for
you think
a-
prices should be linked to demand? That sounds like Keynesianism to me.
The prices being linked to demand. I think he said like that sounds like Keynesianism to him.
So verbatim, he said, "Do you think?" I think he said, "Do you think costs should be related to demand?" That sounds like Keynesianism to me.
Hold on a second.
How do you?
No.
Why was I involved in this?
No.
Because you could be.
We'll play.
Why did I agree to this?
I have no idea, but it was funny as fuck.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. My cat's being weird. She's wanting to chew on things. She normally doesn't do that. So
Is Jim still alive?
she's just. Oh, I'm here. Ah, am I muted or something? No, I'm not muted.
What happened to Jim?
I think Jim died. I think they got him.
I think he got cancer from this Midnight Fountain video.
No. It's interesting because I can hear.
That's why he's bald.
Everybody else.
That's the most greater argument I've ever heard.
Whatever. I could hear you guys the whole time. By the way. Everybody
Oh
else-
no!
Oh shit. Do you agree with my judgment there, though, Jim?
Of course, it's because I'm bald. Are you kidding me?
No, wait. Can we call out ISO for that or Midnight? Sorry.
Oh.
Can we call him out and tell him to start paying for your treatments?
Yeah, of course. He's gaslighting me. He's trying to make me crazy. It's going to cost me a lot of money and stuff. Because I'm constantly having to go like, okay, business owners are successful because they have high time preference. Am I like slowly losing my mind? I could have swore it was low time preference that keeps businesses in business because they invest in future endeavors.
Oh,
And
dude,
I-
does he know what he's talking about in any of these videos? Let's be honest. Like,
No.
And it's sad because you see other people start to pick up on it. Like I'll see a comic ANCAP who'll do a whole video about, oh, fiat money has no value.
Oh,
Yes, it does. It has value. It's not good. Fiat money isn't good, but it has value. I mean, people want it. People find
thing
value
is,
in it.
to say that something has no value absolutely would mean that value is objective.
Value is not objective.
I know, yeah, that's the problem with saying that something full on has no value.
There can be an objective market price.
All right, hear me out here. I think I've just developed an.
That's about it.
I think I've developed an argument for objective value. Well, let's take a look at any of Midnight's videos. I will posit that this is proof of objective value because they are valueless.
Touche. How to
Give me a second here.
stage a shooting, borderline edition.
We should actually. Okay, that was a big part of it as well when Toast joined.
I did. That was the only other part where I spoke. They
probably address that because that was something.
I basically tried telling them, look, correlation doesn't equal causation. And the way they addressed it was interesting. I don't have timestamps for this one. I end up joining around the 27-minute mark.
Yeah. It started out like, okay, let's talk about all these conspiracy theories and regarding the borderline shooting. Now, I haven't followed any of these kind of conspiracy theories because it kind of gets tiresome now that the media is like focusing on all these shootings now. It's impossible to keep up with all of the conspiracy theories around them because every single shooting that happens now, it's a conspiracy theory. It's all staged. It's almost like they're saying that mass shootings don't happen. Every time because anytime a mass shooting does, it's a false flag. Didn't happen unless it's a Muslim that does it. Then it's real. Then
It's sort of like
somehow it's real. Yeah, if it's a Muslim in another country, oh yeah, Paris, that happened. That was a thing. Oh, Orlando, yeah, false flag. And it's hard to keep track of all of them. So I just been kind of falling off of it. It was a lot easier to follow when there was like one of these things that was being publicized a year or something, or one or two of them. But because there's been like 10 so far or something that they've been mass publicizing.
I think Jim just nutted.
Yeah.
No, your voice dropped like 20 decibels.
Yeah, no, your voice is like an octave deeper. I don't know what happened. Is your microphone?
Yeah, I know what's happening. Go ahead. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I'll do things to fix things.
So how's it going, Prom?
It's going good.
You gonna send me those pictures later?
Yeah, do you want to talk about some Pareto efficiency?
Pareto?
Yeah. Go on, Toast.
Well, as you can see, economics is hard. So some people just fake it.
That's very true.
This should be a whole lot better. So you're gonna hear garbage, but everybody else is gonna hear good stuff. But at least it won't change octaves and cut out and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounded a bit like you just like huffed. What's it? That like voice deepening.
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah,
that's a good shit.
That's the good shit, Jim Jesus.
Too bad you couldn't hear me say that when my voice was dropped, right? Oh, that's good shit.
Oh, dude.
People are saying it's super male vitality.
So yeah, it's impossible for me to keep up with all these conspiracy theories. So I don't know exactly what's going on with the shooting. But what I do know is that every time the media shows up at some sort of tragic event, any tragic event, they start putting out whatever it is that they can get their hands on. Anytime someone says something who wasn't there or didn't see everything or was completely traumatized and they don't remember things properly, because that's what happens when traumatic things happen to people. They misremember things because they're in a traumatic event. they start saying things that aren't true, and those get passed around, and then later on they go, "Oh, that's not right." So like everything is confusing in the fog of war. That's what I call it, the fog of war, I guess. Like for instance, the whole 9/11 thing where had the BBC reporter come out and say, "Oh yeah, the Building 7 has collapsed. It's completely gone." And then in the background, you can see Building 7 still stand there. That's because everybody was so hyped to get the newest thing come out because out of this big, huge event that no one knows what's really going on, and some foreign journalists who may not know the situation entirely don't know what a Building 7 is. Maybe like a New York reporter would say something like that because they heard, "Oh, Building 7's going to fall." Oh, it fell? Okay, it fell. So, I mean, there's things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of weird reporting. Like, I mean, initial reports were saying, there was a torpedo that shot into the World Trade Center or a rocket, and then videos come out like, "Oh no, that wasn't what happened at all."
Yeah, the one of the arguments he brought up, which I couldn't make sense of, was God, what was it? He was saying that because media had a connection to the government, that any news stories that they put out are government propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And because this was a news story put out by the media, that it was a staged shooting.
Well, clearly.
I mean, even his videos, it doesn't really show what he says it shows, though. Like, there's the sound of broken glass, etc. And also, he's looking into the bar, right? So why would they broken glass into the bar? Like, what are they going to run like behind the bar and like slam a bottle of Jack Daniels to try and escape? I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on with the whole. They said that they were shooting into the. So I'm basing this entirely on what I saw in this debate. I have not been following the shooting whatsoever because I got shit to do. I just think that it's sad that it happened, but whatever. But I guess the initial reports were saying that they were shooting into the dance hall, but there was no bodies on the dance hall according to that video. So I don't know. Maybe people drug out. That this was like a later part of the shooting, which may have been because the whole room was empty. But again, why would the media like put this out and go like, "Oh, look at this, guys! This is just the video of the shooting. Come look at this." If it completely upsets their narrative, if they really are trying to hide things that are proving them wrong, they be pressuring Instagram or whoever was hosting this video initially to take it down. I think actually
And also,
take it down, but they wouldn't be sharing it on their websites.
yeah, and since when has CNN become best gore? Because as far as I can remember, I don't think CNN shows like actually dead bodies if they are in the video, right?
Yeah, I don't. Usually, when stuff happens like that, they'll be like, warning, this is pretty graphic. But if it's too graphic, I don't think they'll show it. Could be wrong because I don't watch cable news, so.
Yeah, true.
I
True.
have very low opinions of people who get most of their information from cable news.
I only get my information via Lively.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day,
I get mine from The Onion.
Yeah, cable news was interesting back in the day, but now it's become like a race to the bottom for views. So,
Oh yeah.
Don't you dare go up there.
Bet you I can win that race.
Everything she can to get my attention.
Okay.
Get down. Get down from there. She's like, "Fuck you! This is my house." She's gonna try to.
My house, you pay for it.
But there's no way she can land. There's no room to land up there. Which means she's gonna knock a bunch of shit over if she does. No, she gave up. Good.
Oof, what a cat. Whopping.
Yeah, she's just looking for attention because I'm not giving it to her. I'm talking to Scotch and Toast.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just going insane.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, true. I thought of a title for like this sort of stream that we do, right? Where it's just sort of like, well, something happened, we do a stream. It's the chit show of the week.
Yeah. Oh, are we still live? The viewers just dropped to 0 for some reason, like all at once.
Nine.
I'm
Nine.
still alive.
We're still on.
Yeah.
7 for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just let me see. Maybe if I refresh chat. Oh. Weird.
So then they kick Toast, right? And have we deciphered who kicked Toast yet?
Pretty sure it was Filthy, actually.
Yeah.
That or Isso's lying directly to my face, which I don't appreciate.
Andy's far more talented than we could ever imagine, because that's some serious multitasking, dude.
I don't know. He was able to like do the debate while blocking me from the chat.
Wait,
That's
really?
true.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
people are still chatting, so apparently they're still there. It's just not showing me this. Okay. So yeah, I mean the whole debate was just a complete shit show. But then again, can you recall a debate that SO's had that wasn't a complete shit show?
To some extent, the True Dilton one, but that's just because he just got destroyed.
Yeah, I'm assuming you said destroyed.
Mm-hmm. The thing is,
Yeah, that
he
was...
got destroyed by True Dilton,
Mhm.
which I think is just very, very amusing.
Well, I've listened to that one a few times because for some reason I find it amusing. Just I don't know. It's almost like I got a sense of Schadenfreude. Is that the right term? Where I actually
Joy from suffering.
Yeah,
All of those.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a bit of that, but at the same time, I also feel a little bit embarrassed for him. At the same time, like I felt embarrassed vicariously, just because it was just so painful to watch. That he didn't know basic things, and he had to be like explained to him by someone who actually knew these things.
And even then, he doesn't even try to like make a proper argument. He just plays exactly to True Dilton's game, right? So of course he loses. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Should we play some highlights from that? I don't think there is any timestamps on that one.
I haven't seen it, so
you haven't seen it.
No,
we can do an analysis
for
Toast.
Thing? Should we just do the whole analysis?
Let's do it live. I've got a gin, a cognac, and a whiskey, so I'm more than.
What the hell? How did you? Hold on. Fucking retard. Come here. You okay?
Jim's cat just assassinated the president.
Holy shit, that was dumb. Okay, did you ever see? Did you ever see Breaking Bad, where they was chasing that fly? It's sort of what happened to my cat right now. I look up like, what the fuck is that noise? And I look up, and she's on top of one of my cabinets, walking over, like tightrope walking on the open door, on the top of the open door, so that she could jump on top of the refrigerator. And as soon as I said something, she looked over and was like, fuck it, now's my chance to jump. And she kind of like flung, and then she like landed on the door, and then landed on the trash can, and then landed on the floor. And I was like, oh, fuck. You okay?
Jesus.
And that cabinet's pretty high up. Like, I have really high ceilings. Fuck.
Yeah.
That would have been the time to turn on my webcam. I should have had my webcam on. Okay. All right. So a debate with esoteric entity Keynes, Logic, Hoppa, and Adam.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I don't think the chat's gonna work on this one, unless maybe I do something like, oh no, that's even worse. Because I know that the video's even stronger. You guys ready to play it?
One moment. I'm slow.
Or you get that ready. You okay?
All right, got it up.
God, yeah.
Oh god, I got a 1 minute unskippable ad.
Why did Shane and Midnight do a response to True Dilton in 4K? Like, they are cartoon avatars. Why do you need 4K?
I don't know. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, you're a big dummy. You're a big
Oh.
dummy.
Poor
I thought gray cats were supposed to be smart, but you're just an NPC.
It really is an NPC. It's like path to destination, top of fridge.
All right, so we ready? We ready to play this?
Yep.
Oh, this is
Tell me when you're ready.
all right. So we're gonna play it at 0, of course. Now.
Why is True Del Tom's intro so long? It's like
Hey
Dapperton's
everybody,
intro.
I am joined here with Esoteric Entity, someone that you might have known. I've referenced him in quite a few of my videos. We've had some disputes online over various issues. You know, we've had various disagreements on things, and I thought we would communicate, have a conversation, have a discourse, talk about it. Esoteric Entity's channel, though, has been suspended, I believe, so you can go check him out at his second channel, which I believe is also called Esoteric Entity. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man, to speak to me.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. I'd be glad to come on any show, really.
Cool. So I'm not really prepared for this. in the
I'd be
sense
glad to
that
come
I
on
don't really have
any
a
show,
topic
really.
or something that we can
Not
debate on.
mine.
But of course, we have disagreements that we can just talk about. And so, firstly, I guess I wanted to address something you had said in one of your videos. Sorry.
Well, that's good because, yeah, I didn't prepare for this one like I did my Michelle Caitlin debate.
Yeah.
He
All right,
prepared
no
for that
worries.
Michelle Caitlin debate.
Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to address, I guess, was something you had said in one of your videos. Now, I made a response to it at the time. However, I thought it would be more productive to just, I guess, ask you in person. And that is regarding your video on canes. And I guess
Yeah,
you probably
that
know
was
where I'm
stupid.
going with this.
Conflating supply and demand side. I disagree with both of them, but I didn't understand
What?
the difference, and that was stupid. So.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad you're honest about that. But what do you mean you disagree with both supply side and demand side? Do you reject supply and demand as a model?
He's such a
No, what I
fucking.
reject is a government program
Love this
to
comment,
try and
furry
stimulate
degenerate versus
either
literal
the
Chad
supply or
Ubermensch.
demand side. I tend to fall into the Say's Law camp or something generally related to that.
Okay.
Because that's my problem with supply side as well, is that stimulus packages and stuff like that are also bad for the economy.
So you would say that you are supply side because you believe that an increase in the supply or a shift in the aggregate supply curve will overall increase productivity and not just increase the price level. But you would just say that the government isn't an effective agent in affecting supply. Supply must be changed by entrepreneurs and economic agents within the economy rather than the centralized third party.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that raising supply is always going to result in economic growth, and that's another big part of my issue with supply side is that's you can also get bubbles that way, which is not a good thing.
Okay. But you said you believe in Say's law as well,
Bubbles.
which essentially states that.
Well, yeah, I tend to fall into that camp.
Lots of
that,
uncomfortable pauses in this debate, too.
There really
yeah, I
is.
just don't really have a policy regarding that.
Because if you take the Austrian school, they are unanimously supply-side economists. Every single one of them believes in Say's law, from Eugen von Bohm-Bawerk, Murray Rothbard, Ludwig von Mises. They believe that, as the classical view goes, that we produce because we supply, and that this Keynesian revolt against the classical ways of conducting
True Del
economics,
Tom, as much
by
as he
saying
is
that
just
it
like I took a
demands that
class
increase in
once, is
production.
just so much
It
that's
is
what
wrong.
you
more
imply supply
interesting
side.
of a speaker
No,
than
I was
Midnight.
thinking you were talking about something entirely different, like the neoclassical approach to supply side.
I'm going to pause it at 3:58.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, I mean, at least he has an understanding of what he's saying. He just didn't hear a couple of buzzwords and go, oh, I know what this means. I'm going to construct a series of sentences that make it sound like I understand these things to my subhuman followers who.
You understand the definition of what he's saying, which is nice. It's like, well, you've already won this debate, but honestly, some of the yeah,
All right, so we're gonna play at 3:58.
No, I get what you're saying. So I suppose if that's how we're looking at it, then yeah.
But that's just how it's looked at in orthodox economics. Because when you study economics, you're not always just looking for an excuse to talk about politics. It's also just something to study for its own sake. And we want to look at what actors are the ones that increase production. Is it consumers?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. My interest in economics has nothing to do with my political views. I just, I don't think government programs to stimulate supply.
1:30, or excuse me, 4:32.
Okay. My interest in
Your interest in economics has nothing to do with his political positions. I guarantee you, when he was listening to the Young Turks, he did not give a rat fuck about economics. I guarantee it.
Yep. Voltaire's in chat. Hi, Voltaire.
Hi, Voltaire.
Hello, I don't know you.
You should.
Yeah, I like Voltaire. Voltaire's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good
Wait,
guy.
no, I think I know him.
And
Hold on, where do I know him?
He's not only been doing NoFap November, he's been doing NoFap his whole life. Allegedly.
Well, dude, welcome to the club.
Toast is
I'm abstinent.
I toast that Christian.
All right, so we're playing 4:32.
Supply are good for the economy. Same thing with demand, which is why I...
Sure, and my point earlier about all the Austrians in history was that they would all be supply-side economists, but would say the government is an effective means of actually shifting the supply curve, and their efforts are futile. Of course, people disagree with that, but if you're sticking to the conventional Austrian school of thought, that would be an example of supply-side economists that also don't believe the government has any job or any place in intervening into the market. So would you say you would correspond more with a view like that?
Yeah, that sounds more like where I'm at.
Okay, sure. And just to nail in my point and bring it home, that is nonetheless a supply-side school of thought. So you would say you are supply-side?
Yeah. That sounds about right. I don't know if I just had a misunderstanding of what supply side was, but I understood it just
yes,
based
you did,
on
Midnight.
what people who are statists advocate for in supply side, and I thought that's sort of what supply side was. It was raise supply, because raising supply will boost aggregate demand, and
yeah,
should we call this an appeal to statism?
Like you do a bachelor of economics, these questions about old school economic theory, even as far back as something which seems kind of recent, such as Keynes, where we're talking about Say's law and supply side versus demand side, these things are kind of taken for granted, and if you ask any econ major, they probably wouldn't know whether they are supply side or demand side, because it isn't something you actually learn. It's actually fairly niche as a subject matter, so yeah, I'm sure it's something that is kind of unheard of.
That's why I'd specify that I support Say's law, because when you say supply side, that sort of that also implies government stimulus programs, but Say's law, when you say that Say's law, that does not imply that. It just
all right, well, yeah, okay, I feel like people will understand where you're coming from with this. Now, secondly, I made a video on logic.
I think I had to decode your crap.
I introduced first order logic with identity, including its most basic language, as well as truth tables, and I also talked about the underlying premise of predicate logic and why it exists. I didn't really go into using the language of predicate logic that much, but I explained how it expands upon classical logic and the need for predicate logic. And I know you have some disputes with this. You even said at one point you were going to make a response video to my video on logic, but something I wanted you to explain was the comment you left on my video, which
don't do it.
No longer there.
I'm watching.
Again, your channel has
God's watching.
And it went along the lines of, biggest problem with this video, it confuses logic with rationalization or something like that. That's
it confuses logic with logic.
But I was just wondering, what do you mean by that comment? And secondly, or more generally, what was wrong with my video on logic?
You did bring up UPS.
Well, the difference between rationalizing something and logic is that when referring to propositional logic, mathematics, there's a mathematical basis in propositional logic, and
Mathematical.
that can be expressed actually from an observational
with the
objective formula.
weird
for
math
example,
symbols and stuff.
in the case of a binary example like theft, for instance,
God,
P
we
and
really
a
did
P,
nail that word
and there will
salad, didn't
always
we?
be
Did.
one value specifically and not the other value. Because the tilde and ampersand operators have the same standard value table assignments. So
like you're putting forward an Aristotelian understanding
okay.
of truth. Things are true
So-
or false, and there's no in between muddy thing. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, essentially, what I'm getting to is that it's possible to quantify something that is objectively correct from observation,
Drank like half a bottle of
from a
Hennessy. Just
scientific
hell.
formula, and
Do I need to bring out the Lefroy?
that's what I mean. Is that
we could make a
it's
drinking
possible
game.
to rationalize something which
die. And
cannot
he
be
came to roll around
objectively
us.
observed.
Drink
And
every time you
because
cringe.
you can rationalize something which
God.
is not objectively
already.
observable, that does not necessarily mean that there is not an objective basis in reality for what is right and wrong.
Are you talking about the existence of a priori knowledge when you say that you can rationalize to something that's not? Okay.
Yes,
Sure thing.
I am.
Now, when we talk about logic, though, and I would dispute that as somebody that is an operationalist, as somebody that believes that logic alone, which is simply a means of testing internal consistency, is not sufficient for truthhood, because all logic is essentially, you said it was mathematical. I think a better word would be systematic, in that it is a systematic means of manipulating terms without actually seeing where those terms have risen from, or seeing where those
8
terms
times
actually come from
9
in the first
equals
place. It's
taxation
simply,
is that.
and this is something you would learn in a logic.
It's
I
a fair
agree.
point.
It's a way of testing internal consistency, which is to say that all logic is a means of testing validity, and the actual way the propositions in a logical argument comport to reality.
You've got to also remember this bit here is just basically a semantics
So the
play.
question I would
The
have
true
is how
Dilton
does
wins
internal
easily. Like it's
consistency alone
it's a
arrive at
total
the
victory,
position of
flawless
truth?
victory. Because Midnight never brings up the fact that premises exist.
consistency arrive from a position of truthhood.
All right,
Yes.
I don't
let's
necessarily
pause at,
understand.
10:25. What were you saying?
Oh, so I was just saying that this whole bit about like the definition of logic and so on and so forth is a total semantics play, like going off of like basic academia. That True Dilton wins totally because Midnight never he dies on the hill of consistency equals right, which of course isn't true because you can have premises that are ridiculous but consistent.
Right.
The important bit is having correct premises which are also consistent. Of course, Midnight never identifies this because I don't want to say shoe size IQ, but I'm running out of things.
This is true. I wonder if I drop the bit rate down a little bit if it'll help. There we go.
But yeah, no. Of the two, I've got to say that this is it's a really sad slaughter of esoteric entity by True.
Yeah, but just wait until he gets up when he starts talking about it's just basic, a if A therefore or if A then B, A therefore B stuff, because then it gets and then he completely goes over his head. All right, so
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. As the hill he dies on, he completely stands by that. If something is consistent, it must be true. Where it's like that's retarded. Midnight. What?
Yeah. All right, so we're playing at 10:25.
And what you're asking.
Indeed.
So logic tests internal consistency. It makes sure that propositions follow from each other, but it tells you nothing about the actual content of those propositions. It only tests validity, and the validity of an argument is determined solely by its structure, not the actual claims that it is making about the world. So how can the structure of an argument, its internal consistency, or its validity, all three things being synonymous, arrive on at a position of truthhood?
Well, it's because, as I touched upon earlier, there are objective conclusions which can be reached when thinking about a scenario. For example, would theft be justified? Well, no, because the individual has self-ownership and the individual uses their self-ownership
He is just a human
to
talking
create
point.
their property, and therefore that property is an extension of the individual's self-ownership. And to violate that, you would have to be setting
Yeah,
a
okay,
double
so the difference
standard
between
for
these two
yourself
is
because you're not
Midnight
entitled
Phantom
to
is
that
I read a
since you
few
did not
memes once, whereas
Yeah,
True Dilton is
let me
I
give
read a
an
few
example
textbooks.
to, what I'm talking about. Take this argument. This is a chain of propositions which are intended to lead one to a conclusion, and hence it is an
Can't
argument.
stop wrong.
And it goes
No,
like this.
that's
If
perfect.
grass is green,
What?
then aliens exist. Grass is green, therefore
Here we go.
aliens exist. That is a perfectly valid, internally consistent argument, which in virtue of its structure makes the proposition
And Midnight doesn't understand the definition of
lead you
valid.
to the conclusion completely perfectly. But you and I both know this is a false argument. So
It's a non sequitur, yeah.
it's not a non sequitur.
Doesn't have.
It's a perfect sequitur. It's just that
No,
it's
yeah.
not sound.
Yeah, grass is green, therefore aliens exist. The aliens existing has nothing
But-
to do with the premise, and therefore it's a non sequitur.
It's not a non sequitur if we talk about classical logic, because the proposition can't have any properties using classical logic. In the Aristotelian first order logical world, there's no
But
properties.
we're not talking about the history of logic. We're talking about just simply what it is. And
Yeah, and I'm telling you that classical logic doesn't assign
That means
properties to propositions, and thus it's if A then B.
Why are we here just to
Therefore,
suffer?
That is a perfectly valid argument if you're looking at its structure, which in
So,
classical logic
okay.
No,
is
it's
almost
not.
needed
It's
for
I
a
was
matter
invited
of
to their
fact.
stream later tonight.
That's a
Go on.
fallacious
Hold on.
What am
line
I
of
supposed to-
reasoning
It is.
known as.
Let's pause 12:56. What were you saying?
Like, what am I supposed to do later tonight?
I mean, why not just go on and just debate them about something? Like, I don't know. Try and get them through an actual argument.
You could basically debate him on anything, even things that you agree with. His reasonings for the things that you agree with are completely false.
Yeah.
No, but how am I going to survive?
Because, Toast, I have trained you well. Don't do this to me.
No, but my brain just hurts.
Yeah, but what you're watching here is a slaughter. Like, on both accounts, there are things which you can question, but in this, it's painful because you can just see Midnight's soul die. Like, it's withering, it's in pain, and True Dilton will not let it go free. It's truly a sad, sad moment. Yeah, I'd say go on though. Go and have a discussion with them. I mean, why?
I mean, I'll do it, but is that really how I want to spend my night?
I mean, yeah, Toast.
Jesus. Where did you guys leave off?
Like, is this really how I want to spend my night?
Well, how much
Discussing-
booze do you have? I think that's
Well, I'm
question.
abstinent.
Yeah, Jim, he doesn't drink. How sad is that?
You're gonna start.
Probably. Oh. All right, I will be back. I'll catch up.
Yeah.
What was that?
I gotta use the ladies' room.
Oh, okay.
The little boys' room.
Do you want just a discussion about what's going on so far while he with for him, or do you want to just continue?
So, I
or-
mean, the different so what would basically, I guess, to kind of make sure that we're not bearing the lead, True Deal Tom did a video where he was basically helping libertarians understand basic logic because he was noticing that they were misusing the term logic. Which, I mean, like, if you're talking about, like, okay, it's just basic logic. If someone says something like that, you know what that means, right? So
Yeah, so he basically takes it as the academic definition when really people are using it in a colloquial manner.
right.
It's such a small nitpick, but Midnight Phantom has such a small brain in this. He cannot let it.
Well, no. Okay, so a lot of libertarians will bring up logic in that kind of sense. They'll be like, okay, it's just basic logic. Okay, that's fine. But a lot of times they'll say, like, well, it's just basic logic when they're trying to explain philosophical concepts, and then you're like, okay, now you're misusing the term because we're not talking about logic, we're talking about reason. And so that's what he was trying to make to help people understand. So he made this video, and he was talking about whether or not Shane was correct when he said one particular line in his video about like there's no logic.
It's thing about logic. It's objective. Yeah.
And so he pointed out, like, yes, okay, so what Shane said here, like, he's going to take an example. He took an example, and he's like, does it follow? And he broke it down into, like, the logical formula and said, okay, here's his argument, basically written out in this mathematic formula, right? And he was like, see, it's correct. So Shane, good job. You did a good job. This actually is a logical, this is a valid conclusion. And I believe Esso was planning on doing a video response to that with Atomic ANCAP, and saying, like, no, that this is completely wrong. He left a comment saying that, and that's how they got into the discussion to begin with.
I remember watching this video with Shiny, right, and basically I sat through it, and I just realized that it's such, like, filler content that I was like, it's somewhat educational, but the entertainment value is below zero. Like,
well, you're just not big brained enough.
Oh, dude, no, do not. Dude, I legit have been told that by people when I'm like, I don't like Trudel Tom's content, I mean, like, to be honest, the guy, he's well read. He could probably, hold at least a conversation, unlike some people. And then, like, oh, you just not smart enough to get it. And I'm like, oh well, this is the train.
Yeah, I started watching his stuff at least about this time where this video started coming out. I think I came in a little bit late, but I noticed that he was having back and forth with Zesso. But I don't know. I just always find, like, the NRX kind of worldview interesting. I don't agree with it, but they bring up some kind of interesting challenges that I think are worth kind of considering. I don't again, I don't agree with him, so I find that's why I usually find his stuff kind of interesting. So
yeah, Australian man teaches Wolfman a lesson.
Yeah, like, no, I agree that they bring up some interesting points, right? But, like, the problem with True Dilton is the time True Dilton was in a position to talk to me and the people and Toast, right? He just sort of, like, QQ'd out the server. And all of his fans who come in the server, right? Whenever I'm like, I don't like the video, basically just end up in, like, this sort of, like, rabid, foaming mouth hatred of me just because I said, like, I don't like the videos. I can't remember who it was, but someone was like, well, you've obviously never watched the videos. I went on YouTube, took a screenshot of the fact that I had, like, the red bar, right, that says I watched to the end. I was like, well, you're wrong. And they tried to say that I still hadn't seen the videos. I was like how can I get through to you?
Some of these comments are great. The Sneaker's always great. Every time he comments on the Trudel Tom video, it's great.
Sneaker. Do you remember when, after this debate, SR tried to say that he won because people on True Deltom's server said that he won?
Yeah.
And the only person who said that was...
Yeah, the only person that said that was Sneaker.
Oh.
And Sneaker's, like, trolling. He's a troll. That's what he does. He likes to troll Tom.
Yeah.
That's the joke. It's Bonanz. I think It's Bonanz is the one who requested that Trudel Tom make a video about logic. I think that's what he said at the intro of the video, is like, it's Bonanz. It's a Patreon of mine. He gets this tier and he asked me to do a video about logic. So
yeah, God.
So we can blame It's Bonanz, and I will. We can blame It's Bonanz for this debate.
No, he was the guy that said I hadn't watched it as well, and then when I showed him that I had watched it, he was like, "Well, you obviously haven't." And it was like, "Do you have disabilities?" And then we shadow banned him for basically just making no sense, right? So he was muted for a while, so he left and came back to try and get around it. So he got banned, right? And then he made an alt account to come back. And Adamatsu got so angry, and the ban message is something like, "Get in the oven, fuck off, we're full."
Oof.
Yeah, he's a regular on my server, on my Discord server. So
honestly, like,
he's cool people, but yeah, he really likes He really likes Dylan Thomas.
See, I'm just cripplingly depressed, so I don't have any of those legions.
Yeah. So are we going to trudge on?
Oh, yes. Where are we starting from? Where are we continuing?
1256.
1256.
Let me go back a few seconds then. Right. Okay, I am ready.
All right. Play.
As affirming the consequent.
No, it's not. I do know what that fallacy is. But if A, therefore B, A, therefore
fallacies,
B, which is what I was.
Yeah, there's another. Yeah. That's a classic midnight phantasm, right?
Is green, therefore
It says that everything is a fallacy, even when it's
B. A, therefore B.
That's circular
That is
reasoning.
not a fallacy. That is a perfectly valid
no.
argument. But you and I know it is false, despite it being internally consistent, because the propositions within that argument are not true. And I'm saying if internal consistency
good point.
is sufficient for truth,
Thank you,
then how
Judge.
can the existence of such an argument that is false exist in this world?
Well, simply it can't, and I'll give you another good example of that. Merely saying that logic is subjective is itself an internally contradictory statement, because if you're claiming that logic is not objective and you're claiming that logic is subjective, that means that you believe in a degree of objective logistics, because
logistics.
He said
logic.
Holy shit!
You did. You just had logistics.
Yeah, and that's a nonsensical statement that.
Can we clip that?
Yeah, it is. I don't believe logic is subjective, but like.
Yeah, you don't believe logic is objective. You
oh my god!
I don't believe logic is subjective. I believe logic is objective.
Oh. I thought you said it wasn't.
And that's another
understanding
So what I'm arguing though is that
turning
logic
up
in and
what
of
you just
itself,
heard
as a
upside down.
construct that we've made.
Okay,
to
Jim,
see
I'm
how
out of
truth
Hennessy. What do I
distributes
do?
itself across different
Do I got the gin or the whiskey?
to test the consistency
You're gonna
of
need the
a
gin.
sequence of these propositions. Okay,
Yeah, it's a good point.
It's
A lot of gins are
insufficient
cast
to
strength.
arrive on a truthhood. What it is sufficient for is to derive a
Hennessy is
hypothesis, which then needs a degree of measurement and empirical conduction to actually arrive at falsification and Karl Popper and these such things. But what I am arguing is that internal consistency in itself is insufficient, and I'm asking you, I've put
What am I
forward an
doing
argument
with my
that
life?
I believe is a counterexample to the claim that
So let me
internal
explain this to you,
consistency
like,
is
one more
sufficient for
time,
truth,
because you're
but
not
I'm asking you,
understanding.
how do we coincide the existence of this argument with your view?
What led me to
You're
sitting here at
asking me a question,
8:56 in the
or you're
morning,
explaining your point.
Both.
watching a
So, like,
furry
the
get
argument-
roasted?
He just missed it.
Yeah,
So-
you're Yish
He
Galloping
just
a little
explained
bit,
it and
'cause
asked him a
didn't even
question
really
based on an
understand you were asking me a
Okay,
question.
I can re-explain. So
He's
take
like,
this
"Are you asking
argument.
me a
I'll just give you it
question?"
in terms of its structure and tell me if this is valid. If A, therefore B, A,
So he's
therefore B.
explaining it for the 10th time.
So if A is true, B is also true. A is true, so B must also be true.
Yeah, that's not a valid line of reasoning, because B
How is
and A are two separate things, and
Oh,
the proof
what?
of one being correct does not mean that the other is correct.
No, that is perfectly valid. That's affirming the antecedent. That is a perfectly valid argument. That's not a logical fallacy.
Awkward silence.
If you Google
not a logical fallacy, you're taking one, you're saying that one is correct, and therefore the
If
other
poop
has
is
to be
green,
correct
you
because
ate
one is
blue,
correct.
Die.
Yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
it's because
Therefore, I
validity
blue
is
die.
only one half of a
But
good
even then,
argument.
there are
It
just
also
things
must be
that
sound.
logically entail the next thing, right? So,
So look, if you just Google
I'm in
affirming the
pain.
antecedent, this is taught at a university level consistently and in high school philosophy classes.
okay.
I took a
It is
class
a
once.
clear-cut
Yeah, I took
example of a
exactly.
valid argument. So, for a similar case would be all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. This is some way of affirming the antecedent. There is debate over that, actually, but for the sake of this argument, that would be an example of a perfectly valid argument that is taught
I'd like
in
to see the
philosophy
proof
classes.
that all men are mortal.
So you didn't
Kill them all.
Good point.
I'll
explain
live
that
forever.
very well. I suppose in
Jim will.
certain examples it
I
could
use my
be
magic Satan
a valid
powers.
argument. So it's one of those,
Nanobots,
like,
son.
it can be
Nanomachines,
valid, but
son, there you go.
also there's some cases where it's not a valid line of reasoning.
So
For instance, apples are fruits, and cars are red like apples. Therefore, cars are fruits. that could also.
Pause that for a second, because I'm gonna rewind it in just a second.
That was the most beautiful misunderstanding of anything
Okay.
the world has seen.
So he was saying that grass is green. If grass is green, then aliens exist. Grass is green, therefore aliens exist. That's the same argument as what was it again? Here, I'm gonna play it again.
Fruit is red, car is sumac.
Fruit are red. Or apples are red, and I have to rewind it. I can't even wrap around my head around that much stupid. So I'm gonna play it 1726.
It's not a valid line of reasoning. For instance, apples are fruits, and cars are red like apples. Therefore, cars are fruits.
Okay, pause at 1738. What the fuck?
Did you see? Okay, just as a that was a stupid argument. But Voltaire also just said that Shani should be in this call, and I just thought that's terrible.
Okay, I'll let
Women aren't logical beings, but I can.
Well, I mean, neither is Issa.
She's added to the role, so
okay.
She can hop in
if she wants to, she can. Yeah.
Jesus.
She hasn't funded my alcohol addiction.
Are we trudging on? Dude, I'm about ready to crack open my gin.
Honestly, dude. Okay, right. I'll hold off on opening the gin until you open yours, and then we'll have
I'm gonna have to make a martini though.
I'll just. Wait.
I'm gonna get the Lafroig.
You know what? No.
Fair enough.
I've got my Bible with me. I'm ready now.
I've heard this a million times, so I'm gonna let it play, and then you guys can issue commentary.
What time are we at?
1738.
Okay, right. And tell me when to play.
Play.
That could also be made with that line of reasoning, and that's
I don't believe it could. I don't believe that was the same argument.
Yeah,
I don't believe you could rearrange that argument to be structured like that. But the point that I'm making is that arguments are valid in terms of their structure. When you say an argument is valid, you're making a claim about that argument's structure. And
I have a Bible verse ready for tonight.
The conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. If the premises are true, the conclusion has to be true. It is truth preserving.
It's a beautiful drink.
But if those premises aren't true, and the conclusion is therefore false,
dude, do not make me break out the dark storm.
That argument doesn't cease to be valid. Instead, it is still valid, but it is just not sound. The second requirement for a good argument. And that is what I'm trying to convey to you. But if you are saying that an argument...
It's not objective, then.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. But the point being that if you are saying that you can arrive at truth using internal consistency alone, an a priori truth, then how is it something can be true if all you're testing for is validity and you're not using any empirical observations to actually prove that these propositions are true?
The only thing. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, unless you are to argue that these premises are self-evident, which is a common route people take, but I don't...
See, he's even telling him the route to take.
I guess this is more of a dispute over praxeology than it is your argument for the non-aggression principle.
Well, no, it's not necessarily self-evident, because obviously people come to different conclusions.
Congrats.
But,
you played yourself.
The fact of the matter is that there is a correct conclusion.
You just played yourself.
Okay, sure, there is a correct conclusion.
That's all that I'm arguing, is that there's a correct conclusion, and therefore there is an objective way that people can observe it, and people can realize it.
Why?
Okay, sure. So there's an objective truth. There's a truth out there. There is. Now,
generally,
is that what you're arguing? That there's a reality indistinguishable and separate from you?
I'm going to pause at 1954, so that way, Shani, if she can play along if she wants.
Shani, do you have any alcoholic beverages on hand?
Well, yeah, I'm at my mom's house, so.
Okay, ask her if she wants to join the game as well.
Oh, no.
Can you send me the link, onegaishimasu?
To what?
The thingy.
Yeah, I'm going to send it at current time.
Yeah, I'll...
Awesome.
I'll get the thing link.
And by the way, you posted that in the SO chat. There's no chatting.
Oh,
anybody.
oof. I'm sorry.
Cardinal Jim, sin. You do not exist. Please do not.
Yeah. No, we've yet to determine whether you exist or not.
After this stream, we're gonna drop you. You're gonna remember that you were never born.
Yeah, we're paused at 1954.
Yep.
Okay, I'm there.
You ready?
Yeah.
Indeed, we are.
And our minds, that is real and independent of our thoughts about it.
Yeah, and generally how individualist societies would realize this in the past, or stateless individual societies, they would establish a common law based on these conclusions, such as ancient Ireland's Brehon
You know
law
what this reminds
would
me
be
of?
an example of this. It's basically
suicide.
I mean, the oldest preserved example. You got some other examples like Cosfire, but
yeah, I listened to the Tom Woods podcast
Jordan
on
Peterson
study some time ago, which was fairly
in
interesting.
his latest book.
Yeah, so
he talked about what happens when you're not honest with yourself and with others.
All I'm saying is that because there is an objective conclusion that
making an ass of
well, I think he said something about like you kind of turn into a furry, and then like
conclusions. That means it's possible
you
to
start debating Greek statues.
The biggest realization from the
Father Voltaire asks if he can join.
Objective is that law does not.
Only if you tell your mother that you love her.
Yeah, you gotta tell your mom
that
that
we can also disagree on. We can probably have this discussion congregating around another discussion that I wanted to bring up as well. I won't push you anymore.
We're on Discord, by the way.
I think people at home will understand.
NCR.
I wanted to turn
Telegraph. Scroll up. Says can I join?
And even Rothbard to an extent, or just generally your disagreements with the paleo-libertarian crowd. Now, I'm personally not the strictest follower of either of these authors, but I think your disagreement with them brings up a greater discourse that I would like to have with you, because I feel as if this will be...
Wait, did he just say
like
he'll feel?
With...
Yeah. All right, so I'm paused at 21:46.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Volta.
So what are you thinking so far?
Kill me,
honestly. You know that scene from that Wooden Allen movie where he bring Marshall McLuhan and he said, "You know nothing of my work." I'm thinking that right now.
Yeah,
it's amazing how you ever able to attain a relatively small following. It's totally amazing.
Dude, he used to have like 3,000 subscribers. I am baffled by this.
How does he have more than me?
Because he has an ego.
I mean,
it's a fair point.
It's also because he's willing to like remove everything that makes him look bad, so people who don't know better come on and go, "Wow, this guy must really know what he's talking about," because there's no negative comments.
Right. But he doesn't do that anymore. Delete Jim from chat.
Remove Toast from call.
Yeah.
Lie about Shiny being antagonistic.
Well, he was right about you being 6 years old.
True.
I mean, yeah.
He got that right. Prom is definitely a pedophile.
Please thought out on stream. Holy shit.
Wait.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here. Breaking news. Bum, 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 bum.
Gloria
Someone familiar with the matter has informed us.
Really? You know nothing. You know
What's
nothing
his name pops out of the corner?
Oh, please take a seat.
Yeah.
Blue is just sniggering with his obnoxious voice.
Oh, he's not. He's not Operation Blueism. He never was.
He's enact philosophy now, isn't he?
Enact philosophy. Don't call him
so
blue.
It's almost like him and Red did the same thing. Once their one identity got exposed as being a piece of shit, they're like, "Well, I'm not that thing anymore."
I was just pretending to be a piece of shit.
Right. Because if you do it for money, that means that you're a good dude, right?
Right. Of course. We're just doing it for the views. You're an egoist, Jim. No.
guys, what about the children though?
What about the children? I agree. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
We have to give up all principles because there might be a child.
Oh right, I forgot. Can you give me like $10,000 or 20,000 subscribers next? You know.
Well, yeah, Michelle Caitlin is a pedo because she's a pedo because she was talking to someone who didn't mention how old they were, and they just happened to be 17. That's pedophilia, clearly. But, you know, hey, my boyfriend hitting on a 17-year-old kid in our server, what are you talking about? I don't know. I didn't see nothing.
Didn't he try to sell them?
Yeah, he was trying to solicit them sexual services.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Whoa there, buddy, I'm not comfortable with this. Did I mention I'm 17?" He's like, "Oh, well, I mean, it's only a year." And it's just like, yikes, no.
Well, they're well past the age of sexual maturity, so that's okay.
Which is
unless you're a trans.
Yeah, so okay, we're going on. We're ready?
Voltaire, have you got the link? Are you watching along? Or?
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen.
You're not gonna be able to hear. You have to play along with us, otherwise.
Yeah, you'll basically just be watching the stream. But
okay, what Mark? Okay,
we're paused at 21:46.
I can get you a link if you want.
It's in the NTR Telegraph.
Oh
yeah.
21:46. Ready?
Yeah.
On play.
They son of fire, and I guess that discourse relates to an existential.
Yeah, just to provide some perspective of where I'm at. I fall into on economics. I tend to fall into the Konkin category. You know Samuel Edward Konkin, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
And on a social standpoint, I tend to side with Lysander Spooner, so not a paleo libertarian, and I'm just strict individualist.
You referenced two names,
right? And so that's very old school in some ways because
it's more names than I
in
can
America,
reference.
at least, has kind of suffered an existential realization in the last 50
Spooner
years.
was not an ANCAP.
So there's been a transition that is in the libertarian.
Actually, there was a Tom Woods episode about that, basically declaring he was some type of anarcho-capitalist.
He would agree more with Rothbard than he would Kropotkin or Bakunin.
A good way to explain this would be to reference a criticism of capitalism made from the right, and that being a criticism put forward in
he's
Julius
definitely no
Evoler's
Rothbard for sure.
Ride the Tiger, which is a great book that I read late last
year. Yeah, Rothbard wrote a critique about...
I was sent resources by our titular character a couple of weeks ago about Spooner that might be interesting.
Proponents of both ideologies see the tragedy of the modern world and the chaos that man has embraced with his own undoing of the chains of tradition, and excuse the esoteric language, I guess this is just a lot of the way these ideas
esoteric.
Are written.
Was that a
however,
pun?
They have misdiagnosed...
No slave names, True Delta, -1 point.
Strictly
minus one good point.
So he was at 1,003,561 to 0.
Prosperous life in which the principle of struggle is alleviated from man, and along with it, the law of the old world that sustained him. Yet Marx and Engels, their only criticism of this is that such a plentiful and easy existence is too exclusive, and that it should be extended from the bourgeois exploiters of the upper class to everybody. And for this reason, Evoler says that
this point,
capitalism and communism have a dialectical
cross-eyed. He doesn't know what the fuck is happening right now.
And now I don't necessarily.
He is zoned out thinking about
in capitalism, and I talk about it on my channel.
Thinking about boring furries currently, and he comes back to the chat just like Lysander Spooner said that you're gay.
More tacitly by
Reed Spooner.
Reed Spooner. Yeah, exactly.
Is that a question?
Perhaps firstly as an instrumental means.
I don't want to read
Lysander
Spooner
society, which is something we can also talk about. But ultimately,
to
libertarian
be honest, don't like reading.
is justified for the same reason as any other tradition, and that is
you're like esoteric entity. You're punching.
Yeah, but I don't tend to have read things, which is my.
How do you tackle
I'm totally okay saying I have no idea about anything in economics past the things I've heard in discourse. Like
that's fair.
And frankly, I don't actually give a shit about economics.
You're staying away.
I guess that is my question.
Exactly.
And you touched on earlier about how there's no arbiter needed for law, but if law is
He
an
needs
abstract
good boy points on
concept
your
in itself,
server.
how can an abstract
exactly.
concept rule anybody? Ultimately, it will be men that rule and bring this abstract concept to life through the use of violence, through the use of enforcement. So.
Yeah, there are.
Is that a question?
There's multiple different answers for this question, but I got to be completely honest. This is a part of the debate I am not prepared for.
Okay. We can
A living
if you're not
corn
comfortable,
cob.
we don't have to talk about. We can talk about something else.
It's me.
Yeah, because I've just started getting into that, and I've not like looked into any of it. I've mostly just been into economics and explaining that so far.
Okay, well, how about this? How about for...
Oh no! Don't
I know you
remind me.
debated Voltaire. I didn't watch that debate, but I
Oh,
saw from
hi,
the comments that I
Voltaire.
read.
Hi,
A lot of
Voltaire.
the disagreement was over this idea of covenant communities, and now I'm an ex-Hoppian. I would say I'm a Hoppian in the sense that I derive ethics from property rights, even though I'm much more analytical than Hopper does, and I define property
Can't believe
differently to him,
that
and I'm
debate.
not a
That
praxeologist
debate
in
was
my
terrible.
economic methodology, and so Hopper himself might not call me a Hoppian.
To be honest, I remember,
like him.
I think you debated
And
Filthy
I am not an
Heretic,
ANCAP
and
either
we were
in that
watching
sense,
it.
so I
All I
guess
can say about
What do you mean?
justice and
Like Filthy
state
Heretic
and
just
society
cannot
is
speak
that,
in a debate.
it's
He is-
based
oh.
more on compensation.
What about me? Can I
than,
speak?
You did
punishment.
okay, even
That's
though
one of
like
You
the things you
speak
can
better
Yeah.
than Phil.
yeah, like
even as, in
infinitely
order
better.
to contracts or
You
whatnot.
actually understand the
Do you ever
words that
read
are
about
coming
the
out of your
problem
mouth.
of existentialism,
Yes,
like
yes.
Friedrich
It's like
Nietzsche,
Filthy
as
has a
Ackman mentioned
disconnect.
before,
It's
Jewish
like
devil,
what?
who I'm sure you
What?
wouldn't be very fond of as a critic of
Yeah,
capitalism.
not very
Oh.
extensively.
Oh, yeah,
no.
so I understand what
A
I'm
lot of
talking
those issues
about.
I brought up
Okay.
were more
My
problems of the
first
soul, so to speak.
like
Problems
experience with
about
either
good
you or
life and
Filthy was
value,
Paul made me
and being
watch
able
your
to
guys' debate,
have an
and it was
upscaling
terrible.
and upwards trajectory in reaching towards something
So,
better. And I guess a lot of those
can
questions
we address
are
the
very
fact that
niche and very esoteric and very
Midnight
philosophical.
Phantom
So,
just used
so
the
would you be
argument that
interested
I
in
haven't
talking about
prepared
the
for
idea
this?
of Hoppian covenant
Yeah.
communities and how you disagree with that?
That reminds me of
Well,
that. He was basically
sure.
saying
Which is-
what
I'm
Esoteric
gonna-
saying needs to be like logically consistent.
Or I'm going to pause at 27:16.
Well,
So what was your position? Because you were, I don't know if you still are, but you were a Hoppian at the time of that debate, and you guys were talking about covenant communities. What was his disagreement with?
Oh right, he's basically there was a conflation. He thought that Hoppian communities are inherently expansionist
excuse me.
and he thought that it will eventually interrow with other people's property, essentially, and he has problem with physical removal. Like he was basically thought that Hopper was inconsistent with the non-aggression principle. But the thing is, like with the community covenants and physical removal, that's just more like the extension of property, more an extension of voluntary exclusion or association.
Yeah.
Just like
I hate to cut you off, but guess who's messaging me right now?
who?
Oh, he isn't.
A certain Midnight Boy.
Oof.
Oh,
Voltaire, thank you for being like while you're not our guy, I didn't know if you are our guy. Like, thank you for being our guy in the.
I'm black. Of course I'm black.
He's your boy.
Oof. Yeah, it doesn't make any. I mean, like, I have disagreements with Hoppa. I have some serious disagreements with Hoppa. I think argumentation ethics is trash.
Oh yeah, I know Hopper says that himself though. Like he's like it needs serious.
Did he really?
Yeah, in the Shiny Boy the video, right? With the interview.
Huh?
In the interview. Yeah, Hopper was like, I think my best achievement is argumentation ethics, even though it needs serious.
Oof.
Was that in the one that you got the guy asking him the stupid joke from?
Oh, Michael Malice.
Yeah.
Wasn't it that one?
I don't remember that.
I haven't seen that one or it's another. Either way, at some point you said that it needs serious work, and I was like, yeah, fair enough. Good point. Thank you, Hopper.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things. I can't remember anything off the top of my head. It's been a long night. But there's been a few things that I disagree with. But the covenant community thing, I may disagree with like the type of. Oh yeah, the roads. His arguments for like free a free society border program where everybody who was taxed or whatever has like everybody who's a net taxpayer has a certain claim to the public utilities and the public infrastructure, and they could vote on what to do with it. I think that's one of the probably dumbest contribution ever.
Shane, do you remember me? Do you remember me in memes of production tearing Juan apart on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was Juan that was talking to me.
It was.
And I was
I tore his asshole open a little bit, and I'm sure he's okay with me saying that on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a dumb idea because like your resources are not actually distributed into every individual program in that way. Like, let's say you attack. Oh,
it kind of goes back to the Adam Smith idea, like basically saying that basically giving citizens more say in the government of sorts, since they're taxed,
Yeah, but I think when you at least in the United States, if you have a situation where the U.S. government spends so much money in just foreign actions, and you would have to consider that you being a recipient of a service, regardless if the service is good or not, you would have to say it's a service that you took. I mean, because roads suck too, schools suck too. You can't just pick and choose and say, well, one's good in theory and one's just awful no matter what. No, you have to take them all as a service, and I don't think anybody, not even the wealthiest 1%, all the way down, are going to be net taxpayers at the end of the day. They're all going to end up paying for stuff, especially since everybody does everything they can to avoid paying as much taxes as possible, to take as much deductions as possible, to give to charities, etc. So I don't.
But Jim, though, you're a left winger. Then you're a state.
I'm saying that everybody is not a net tax. Virtually everybody is not a net taxpayer. I'm not putting any kind of value judgments on it, right?
I straight up don't believe such thing exists, but anyway.
I know. I'm just clarifying for the audience because it's not just you. Otherwise, I just laughed it off.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Don't put this on stream.
Okay.
Close, can you send me it too? I wanna. Jim puts on stream out of spite.
No, that's not true. I completely agreed with him. I didn't try to. Yeah, I mean,
your
sentiments was exactly my same sentiments. So no, I'm not trying to manipulate anything. So, anyways.
Well, no, I know because there's nothing for you to manipulate. We're just that's the same post.
Yeah, just inform him that nobody's saying that he kicked you. Like everyone's saying that it's basically impossible. I don't believe he had the even ability to do so. Like with censoring Jim in chat, with having his conversation. Like he has far too many things.
I'm just gonna tell him I don't care.
Yeah, when he was dealing with Jim, he had to stop, and he was like,
"Yeah, he had to pause."
Oh, sorry, I didn't listen to you.
Yeah, and then he sent this. The man is typing paragraphs.
Be nice. Be nice, Toast. Don't be mean to him.
No, I'm being kind.
Debating against. I kind of felt bad for him. When Essa was just that. It was a level of rudeness to be like, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening to you while you're making your point. I was reading the chat."
Right.
Should we talk about this again? I mean, we already did a live stream about why this is completely
okay. I think because out of us, Voltaire has the most extreme opinion on him. We should ask Voltaire. Hello, Mr. Voltaire. What's your opinion on what should happen to Midnight?
I think he should go to jail and eventually hang himself in a prison cell.
Yeah, see, that's
Jesus
far
Christ.
more extreme than my opinions on him.
I just want him to be laughed at.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm completely content with him being the laughing stock that he is.
I just want him to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't have any actual ill will towards him. I am still pretty annoyed about the Dapperton thing because I do respect Dapperton and I consider him a friend. But realistically, I don't even think I genuinely don't think he realized how bad what he did was. Like, I don't think he'll ever understand it. And I think he just needs to be like made fun of enough that he never tries that shit again.
Yeah. The dude is now trying to use schoolyard tactics. He's trying to make friends.
Well, come on, man. I'm a dickless potato.
Right. Well, he also kind of like.
It's not anything new this is like kindergarten shit.
Like, I let him know that I had like fully like just made our DMs public, but like no, like in our DMs, he like, you know, came at it from like, oh haha, yeah, I'm so relatable. I know I did cringy things, and then, you know, in like 2 days, once I wouldn't accept that he kept trying to convince me he was smart. He then turned it to, oh, you're being antagonistic. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Nothing's changed. I've told you from the beginning, I don't think you're smart. I think you're dumb. I don't like hate you, but God, you're dumb. And you did some shitty things. And he's like, Shiny just wants drama for the sake of drama. My proof is that Shiny says Shiny likes memes. Like, oh, okay.
But should we talk about the docs thing? Because that keeps coming up. I mean, we already did a stream about what happened. Should we cover it like briefly?
Maybe.
It's your channel.
Did you not want to cover this? Because I've been accused
Maybe
of
to
boxing.
buy.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
to buy Esso time to finish his paragraphs.
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
he's finished.
So,
So yeah,
the docs thing. No, Midnight's family has not been doxed. Let's just put it out there because none of that information that Cacti has been made public at all. Like, and there's no intention of doing so, even if Midnight was a total shit, because like there's no reason to, because Midnight is not his family. The only issue is the only reason the only reason Cacti found that, right?
And let's emphasize this.
Is
I
because
was not doing this. I'm not blue. Like I swear he thinks that I'm blue, like incarnate. So.
Yeah. And the
He
only
thinks that
reason
I manipulate everybody around me to do things for me. But this was already going on before I even got home from work.
Yeah, and the only reason
I was like,
I think he wants you to be blue so that we can all get played like he was, and so that he can be like, see, I'm not the only dumbass who can't.
Yeah, and the only reason Cacti was finding this, right, is because he wouldn't stop lying about the fact that he had just released his own name by being like, yeah, sure, release the article. Like, it's just, if he hadn't been lying, there'd been no reason for Cacti to find this information. But even then, it's totally harmless. None of it's
yeah, the whole point that I was making, because he kept trying to double down this thing that what I did was not considered doxing because it was all coming from public stuff. It's not private information, regardless of even his own definition said, or any identifiable information, you know, that means public or not. And I was like, okay, do you mind that if I got this thing that I got from public information, things that I just found through Google and Facebook, this article talking about you at a protest, do you mind if I post this in the chat? And he kept ignoring me, and I kept posting it. Because the point I was trying to make is, then you're okay with this because it's the same thing. And it's just you. It's not a kid or anything. It's just you. And Mr. Dapperton had copied and pasted what I said to get his attention, to get him to read it and respond to it. And he said, no, go ahead. And I was like, okay. So I posted the link, and he was like, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And I was like, well, you can try to lie about it all you want. And I don't care if these people believe it or not. I know where I found this information. And it came directly from you. I know that it's you. You said that it's you. I don't care if anybody else believes me, because I'm not here to try to convince anybody who you are. But you know that I know that's true. And he just had nothing to say, and I was like, yeah, okay, it doesn't feel good, does it, when it happens to you? And I was trying to get him to understand, like, a little bit of empathy. And you ended up, Prometheus deleted the thing saying, like, hey, yeah, it's a bit much. But I was like, but the point was, he agreed that I could put this information out there. And then it was dead.
I agree.
We didn't talk about this information for like a whole week. No one cared. I didn't even talk about ESO for a long time, not even on Twitter, nothing. Then a week later, he shows up on Shane's server and was, you know, like saying, like, oh, Jim tried to dox me and all this other shit, but that wasn't really me. And then he was what's his name? Cacti?
Cacti, yeah. Cacti is
yeah, it was like, what? Why is he bringing this up? of course it's you. let me dig a little bit further, and DM'd him and said, well, isn't this you too? And then he would say no, and he would look that stuff up that was in that piece of information, look further, and say, well, is this you? Well, this look. What about this? Well, what about this? And kept offering more things. After a couple of these things, you guys contacted me and let me know what was going on, and I was like, oh my God, why is he bringing this up? This is crazy. And then I started going like, okay, let me Google some other things that he found. And then I was like, oh, okay, here's some other stuff. Give it to him, and he passed it along to that. Or I wouldn't even say it. I was just like, oh, look what I Googled. And then he Googled it and found it too. All this stuff was found on Google information. You could look it up, all the stuff that we found. I'm not going to link any of it because I think that's a little beyond the pale. But none of this stuff was even linked in the general chat that we were in,
and even
the server we were in. We were just talking about what we were Googling and then message each other once in a while if we couldn't find something. But none of this stuff was ever released publicly. None of this stuff was ever released. And by the way, if it's not him, which he still contends that's not him and it's not his last name,
and no one has been doxxed.
How am I doxing your family? Because it's all the people with the same last name.
The other thing is, like, I'm surprised he didn't accuse me of doxing him because on his DeviantArt, well, we stopped linking it once we realized what it was. He actually gave away his aunt's full name and a description of what her Facebook image was at the time. Yeah. And, like, confronted him in DMs about it. So, like, and that's the same level of what Cacti did. So I'm not sure how Cacti's a doxer and I'm not. Like, it's a weird standard.
Yeah. You're not part of the tribe, though. That's the thing. You're not part.
Well, here's the thing.
They don't have their own agency, so I can't really be a doxer.
No, it's whoever owns you.
None of the people we looked up were minors. Like, none of them were minors. They were all parents, older sisters, older cousins, whatever. I'm not being specific. I'm just saying they're older people. You know? It's not like we were going like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm going to go find his kid's name. Go dig through some court records and find pictures of his kids online and post it and say, like, all right, now stop talking crap on us.
There was no ill will in any of it, right? Even then, we found one which was quite sad, and we were like, can we do anything nice for the person? And then it was like, nah, that'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, because it might come across as like...
Yeah, I was like, no, don't do any of that. Don't send them things. Don't send them gifts, nothing. Because that's really
yeah, but that was a really sad article, let's be honest. That was
Jim had to be the responsible adult in the room.
Yeah, it was a sad situation, but I was like, no, it's still... But I'm the weirdo. I'm the one with the mental health issues. You know, even though I'm not suffering from auditory hallucinations, I'm not a pathological liar. I'm not doxing kids.
But you're dickless though. You're dickless.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a dick, Jim.
You are a literal corn cob.
Jim, you have balls. Like, can you come back from this at all? Do you have an argument that can come back from this?
Yeah, it's an ad hominem. Checkmate.
Wait, should I just send to Midnight something like, hey, just a heads up, I'm releasing a video probably tomorrow or the next day, exposing Jim for lack of existence.
No, just exposing Jim.
How could I be a doxer if I don't even exist?
I won't even send. You know what? I'm not even gonna DM him. I'll just tell him tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the stream, you'd be like, yeah, I'm uploading video tomorrow where I expose Jim Jesus, and then.
So tell all your viewers to go check that out.
You're just mad because an arachno capitalism is going to be Ant-Capistan.
If you keep talking like that, we're going to have problems.
We go to war in my Spider-Man suit. You can have Ant-Man suit. I'm just going to flick you.
Oh, that's no. Come on, we actually have our ideology has anime waifus as well, though. So
hey, I'm the #1 waifu in Dapperton.
True, yeah. Jim got the highest ranked waifu.
Wait, what's his score?
95.
Jesus, I only got like 70 something.
Jim Jesus is the perfect waifu, which is quite
waifu.
I am the worst waifu.
I just don't appeal to the fringes.
Exactly.
I'm the Untermensch waifu.
To be fair, I'm right in that range where I would get the most responses on like Tinder better because like people wouldn't think I'm too hot to approach, but they also wouldn't think I'm ugly. So, hey, joke's on you, Jim. I'll get more matches.
Does that just make me ugly
But
then?
you're only 6 years old.
That's a good point.
Fuck,
Yeah, you
I can't
can't
join Tinder.
Yep. Jim,
Still have
no.
more matches. And I'm a dude.
That's true. That's true. But it's also the white monster and the lawnmower might turn a few people off.
Yeah, that's actually the picture I use. That's literally me.
Why are we still here just to suffer? Right. Okay. So
Are we still suffering through this?
I think I've heard enough.
How can we truly be suffering if we're doing it together?
That's a good point. Okay, we are also already halfway through.
I don't know any of you.
Make to the.
All right, so we're gonna start again. 27-16.
Yep.
All right.
Tell me
ready?
when.
All right, play.
Which I will put forward is something separate to the issue that I just asked you about, so we can talk about this.
My main disagreement with Hoppy and Covenant communities is that, well, I explained it pretty well in the debate that I had with Voltaire, and that is that the idea of interim property ownerships is a huge problem for me. So, for example, if someone were to build a private town, and they would have to do it, they would have to build it from the ground up in order for it to be truly voluntary. So, or otherwise, everyone in the town would have to be a voluntary participant. The reason for this to be the case is because if you were to build a private city or a private community around property owners already existing, and then you handed them a private law on how things are going to go on your property, and one of them disagrees, well then either you have to leave or you would have to coerce them out, and at which case that's not voluntary, that's coercive.
Okay, but like you believe in the freedom of association, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that is to say that people can use their liberty to come together and join groups, and
exactly. I do not have a problem with that.
And in addition to that, those groups can use contractual power so that their members have some obligations that they put on themselves voluntarily through signing those contracts, right?
What do you mean by that specifically?
So, like, they give them a literal piece of paper which says, if you sign this contract, then you owe us maybe this much money for a year to fund this group. That's an example off the top of my head, a hypothetical. It could be anything.
Perhaps yeah, sure.
And they can sign that contract, and then if that money is not paid, then that is an obligation that they have not fulfilled, and thus there could be some punishment, some consequence for not doing so. Okay.
Then that's an initiation of force because that's fraudulent. So.
Yeah, okay. So what would be the problem with, say, 100 people contractually agreeing to bound their territories that they all own by some collective, some law and order that is enforced by the greater group?
The greater group, you mean
like
property owners getting together?
the property owners that have gotten together.
By the way, he does not have any
and this is
problem
in the Hoppian framework because
with like
Hopper is an abider of the non-aggression principle and doesn't believe that violence is ever justified in a strictly normative sense.
Midnight.
And thus he puts forward the idea of the Hoppian covenant.
Well, yeah, I'm a voluntarist as long as they don't
contractual construct, so to speak, where everybody gets together and signs this contract. Now you can argue about the effectiveness of this, which
all you
I
gotta
do
do is be
myself. Like, what
careful
about when
not
these
to
people
get near
have
them when
children
they're too
and
hungry. They
children
might
don't
try to
want to
eat.
sign the contract?
Basically.
Maybe that could be a criticism.
Yeah, so,
that it's a short.
It's a terrible idea, but I mean.
So you agree to join a private community?
You're a
so basically what you're asking is if somebody agrees to join a private community and then they follow the rules of that private community, and that's what they agree to, and then that private community goes on to merge with other private communities and form contractual law that none of those people have a say in. Yeah, that's
of course, but that's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying if it is all constructed through the lens of contractual agreement, do you have a problem with it?
So what do you mean by constructed through the lens of contractual agreement? If that's not what
As
you're
in,
referring to?
the group that enforces the conservative social order enforces it on the subjects, the citizenry, or whatever you want to call it, because those very citizens and those very same subjects have contractually agreed to be a part of this social order.
Oh, if you're going into that private community and they enforce that sort of stuff onto you, no, there's not really anything wrong with that.
Yeah, because I have heard you defend the idea of a voluntary communist commune in an anarcho-capitalist society. And would you not also, by the same standard, be able to defend a conservative commune?
Yeah.
Alright, so you can kind of think of Hopper in contrast to the voluntary communist commune in an anarcho-capitalist society. On the other hand, Hopper is simply the conservative who wants a conservative social order that is voluntarily constructed in a libertarian society.
Well, I've looked, and that seems to be the general Hoppian view, but I've looked at things and I found things within his writing, like interim property ownership, and the lines of these contracts being blurred when private communities decide to do things with like other communities, and that's sort of goes into social contract territory at that point, and that's.
Right.
It's just the social
Where did that come from?
I'm sorry, if you have a
there
contract
actually
that says,
being a literal
hey,
contract.
we can make contracts with other
Yeah, but like,
communities,
what is wrong
and you're obliged
a
to
social
agree to those
contract if it
contracts.
is a literal contract? Because the whole point
Yeah,
of
he
social
thinks-
contract theory,
yeah, he thinks
which is
that
something
community
I don't
covenants are
subscribe to
inherently
myself,
expansionist.
is that it is not a physical contract. Instead, it is a tacit one that you sign implicitly without your
How does he think
knowledge,
private-
and
how
this
private
contract
courts are
is
gonna work?
disagreed
They're gonna
upon
end up
on
having
what
to
its actual
contract with
contents
other
are
courts
unanimously across
for
everyone
arbitration.
that believes
That's
in
just
it.
the way it's going
Well,
to
that's one criticism
that
of it,
inquires
and that's part
some
of
type
the
of
problem.
third
But the
party
other part of
estate.
the problem is that if you don't have the ability to actually withdraw
To be honest, I
your
don't even believe in
consent,
ANCAP courts. I just
then
believe in the 308.
the contract can't be considered truly voluntary, or you don't have a say in signing it to begin with, and that's the main problems with Hop's ideas. He doesn't realize that if you
I like
sign a
hops in my beer.
contract with
I
someone,
like hops
and
for
then
everything,
and
not
then
all.
that person goes on
I like hops
to
for my
do
philosophy
things in
and
your
my beer.
name that you didn't consent to, then you're still initiating force against that person.
But that's not universally true, because it's often that you sign a contract in which the terms of the contract is that you cannot withdraw consent for a certain period of time. For instance, with a gym membership or something. And also, there might be terms...
When I mean, okay,
Why
I
do-
see
why
what you
do-
mean. What I mean by
Hopper-
withdraw
why do heretic
consent
and
is like,
esoteric
if
say
somebody offers
Hopper's
it to
name,
you,
Hop?
you can say no. That's
Because-
what I meant by that.
Because they
Also,
can.
in addition,
Libertarians
terms
1,
often
status
have in
to
their
0, get
contracts,
wrecked.
in their terms, that the participant, the person signing the contract, not only cannot withdraw their consent for a certain amount of time, but that they have the leeway to change their terms within a very set of limitations over the course of time as different things happen, like with iTunes, for instance. That's something that happens
Well,
all
if
the
you
time.
agree to it, then that's another thing. But if you're
Okay. But it sounds
Yeah,
like
okay,
it
okay.
sounds like you might
Whatever,
not
Anton.
have a conservative mind. You might not share conservative values, and you might not want to live a traditional life. But in principle, you have.
I just want my house, and I want to live. I'm
He wants to
essentially
go to
an
rainforest.
unironic atomist, like borderline.
Sure,
He wants his
but,
lolly
my
furs
point
and he wants the
being
government to
that
stay
in
away from them.
principle, although you might not find the Hoppian ANCAP community desirable, you still would permit it to exist ethically and in accordance with your
Don't
own
tread on my
moral
lolly
framework.
If it
If
was
you trade on
actually
my lolly first, I
voluntary
swear
and
to
you
God.
got some of the rough edges.
Okay, but I'll
I
say
will
something
report
that
you to
even more
NAMBLA.
specific. If it is in accordance with how Hoppians describe it.
Yeah, most of them have come to me and they basically describe, well, it's actually just a voluntary community and it doesn't have any of those problems. Then yeah, I don't think there'd be any problems there. I'm talking specifically about Hop's philosophy when you talk about
Hops.
Hoppianism.
Sounds like a really
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Is
Anarcho-Kurdistan is an IPA.
Because I've been putting forward a few, and I was just wondering if there's anything that you wanted to discuss.
It sounds like a European trying to say
you
Hobbes,
mentioned
like Tom Hobbes.
briefly earlier the sustainability of a libertarian society, and I want to know exactly what your issues are with counter economics, if you have any, because that's my proposed means.
Oh no!
Achieving a libertarian society.
Okay,
Bitcoin's
so
gonna take down
to
the
audience
state.
Roughly how
The
pursuit
Bitcoin,
of agorism
the
or
state.
the
I fear
pursuit
no
of
man,
counter-economics,
but that man,
is the pursuit
Bitcoin.
of illegal economic activity, will deconstruct the state.
Well, not necessarily illegal economic activity, just anything that the fiat economy is not profiting off of, which, yes, while that generally involves black market activities, that you can also just make things,
Guys,
for
we're gonna
instance,
take down the state
legally.
by
But
selling
anyway,
jelly
the reason
jars
why
out of my garage.
this will eventually
Dude, the state is destroyed.
innovate the state out of
Don't
existence is because
we don't even need to be here anymore. Come on, let's
once
freedom
the
now.
currency cap of the
Put an ad on
economy,
Craigslist for to sell this empty bottle for
increases in
17
size,
Bitcoin.
then
Like
investors
rip state.
will start
I'm
making
selling-
private
I'm selling Ego's
businesses
flags
in the
on
model
Open
of
Bazaar.
trading
Rip
in
it, please, Donald
cryptocurrency,
Trump.
and trading in cryptocurrency will become
Your wall will never come
much
to
more
be.
mainstream. Now, the reason that states are so hostile to cryptocurrency and all of these corporatist businesses are so hostile to it is because it's decentralized. And
Right. It's a
just to
competitor
put
to fiat currency.
yeah, to put it into perspective,
But so is gold.
decentralization is
So
not
is
actually
literally
possible
any
to
other
regulate.
medium of
For
trade.
example,
So is silver.
in the early 2000s,
When I trade,
file sharing,
when I used to trade
a lot of,
Counter-Strike skins,
companies in the state
I'm
tried
trading
to come down
skins.
on
That
file
isn't trading in
sharing
money.
because people were pirating movies and music and stuff. Well, what pirators did is they created a decentralized means of file sharing, which most of you know as torrenting. Well, the state
Gotta
can't
explain
crack
it to
down
the
on
kids. You kids
torrenting
don't
because
get it.
it does not have a centralized point of distribution.
I know you guys
And
might not
that's
be
the
in on
reason
this
why
internet link.
they just effectively gave up on it. And to cite a few actual examples in the real world of the state trying to ban cryptocurrency, Russia and China both have a ban on cryptocurrency, and it did absolutely nothing to the crypto market. In fact,
That's not
the
strictly
crypto
true,
market
is it?
grew.
So just so you know, like I am a supporter of cryptocurrency. Like I'm not.
Oh yeah,
Go-
I'm not saying
yeah.
I'm not saying you're
Of
against
course.
it, but
course.
generally, there are, I assume, I don't know what camp you fall under, but I've heard you talk about the idea of a libertarian social order, so I assume that you're against agorism as a means of achieving a libertarian society.
Well, partially and partially not. Like, I support cryptocurrency, but I am an opponent of drug culture and drug use, and I don't support
That's what
people
use it as
consuming
a,
and purchasing
thumbnail.
drugs as a means of competing with the
What's
state.
wrong there?
So it depends what you mean.
Does it
As a
just-
whole,
Well, I mean,
Parents just
you could
don't
also buy
understand.
guns with it. I mean, it doesn't.
yeah, I support. Yeah, I mean, I support that. But in terms of cryptocurrency, I support it. I was going to buy in recently, but instead I invested in something else. And yeah, so I can't give you like a single criticism of the whole position because you would have to look at it on a market by market basis.
But essentially, it's not possible to actually regulate the currency. And since the currency is a competitor to fiat, what it will eventually do is it will outcompete fiat. And what will eventually happen when you have all these services being provided for by the crypto market, you'll start having these private security companies and schools. You'll have all of society's infrastructure being provided for with cryptocurrency, which, since it's actually profitable to trade in cryptocurrency, and it's a more valuable currency because it's actually it has a sustainable basis for.
And
its
even then, do you
value,
think that the
which
state's
is,
going to just like not tax people
scarcity
property
and utility,
tax just
unlike
because they're
fiat,
trading in
which
Bitcoin?
basically is just
They're still going to take your
valuable
stuff,
because
like
the state,
dude.
Creates limited batches, but
if they
in
really
reality
want
it
to
has
bust
no
people,
value. So what will
If they
eventually
really want to
happen
stop Bitcoin, they can do a chilling
is,
effect.
and that's essentially the reason
Bust a
why
few people
it's
very
also
hard,
the most
make an
effective
example so that
strategy for
grandma
establishing a
stopped doing it.
libertarian
If grandma stops
society,
doing it,
because
normies stop doing
you
it.
don't have to
I mean,
be
why would
an
they? Because
agorist in order to
since
engage
basically
in
this
it
is
and
only
see
affects
some
like a
benefit
property
from
tax or
doing
like
so.
a
You can be
sale
someone
tax,
of
right?
any ideological.
No, income tax, sale tax. They could legitimately remove those and appeal to libertarians, like, "Hey guys, look, we're going in the right direction. Now pay 17 times as much property tax."
Yeah. So I'm pausing it at 14.29. What they would do if they really saw any kind of cryptocurrency as a threat, what they would do is they would go, okay, we can't bust everybody for doing it because there's too many people doing it, and it's too resource intensive to bust every single person. It's probably going to be the same thing with a quarter of people. So why don't we do what they did with piracy? As an example he brought up earlier, where instead of busting everybody who was torrenting on Kazaa, they busted one or two people, busted them really hard to make an example of them. You know, single mother, you know, barely making ends meet. Well, now what? Now you got a $500,000 fine for downloading Limp Bizkit. Bam. Most people looked at that and went, well, fuck torrenting. I'm going to go back to buying CDs again. Or I'm going to buy it on iTunes or something. That's what they did. And it sort of still works. I mean, if you look at if you look at the piracy community, it's pretty much like it's fudging away. Like there's not much going on there.
Yeah, it's what time some people on, Jim?
Yeah, I'm at 41:29. Are we playing again?
Roger. I'm trying to get the timestamp because I think I'm a little bit ahead.
21:29.
I think you mean 41.
41.
Yeah, 41.
Shit.
You said 14 at first.
Initially, you said 14, and I was like, "Excuse me."
I'm
And
in bliss. I'm in bliss right now. Thank you, Lefroy.
Lefroy is genuinely the savior of all of our day.
Jesus, I wouldn't have made it through this again without Lefroy.
Honestly, this video has given me like so much pain. Like just internal suffering has never been higher.
All right, so we're at 41:29.
Indeed, we are.
Persuasion, and it would benefit you to do this because you would be profiting directly from it. So, and so eventually, what would happen is you'd have this entire society, essentially the state just being a parasite off of this society. People would sit there and realize, hey, well, we could do all this without the state. The state is basically just a parasite on our income, so why don't we just stop paying taxes? So people would stop paying taxes.
Why don't we stop
state
paying
wouldn't
taxes?
have any money to send police or the military after people
Hyperthink emoji.
who stopped paying taxes. And even if they did,
That's Larkin Rose when you
at this
have
point
to
you
stop
would
paying
have
taxes.
all of these giant security companies to
Charles
defend
Lane.
their customers from the state.
Earwin Shift.
So,
But you don't think people would be resistant
Thorough.
to just become ideological
Ed Brown.
ANCAPs and to not support the state? Wouldn't you think most
My
people
grandmother.
want to suppress immoral
Wesley
behavior
Snipes.
that is deemed immoral in their eyes, but isn't just
Yeah, they all-
violence, such as
they all
the
went to
formation of
jail.
drug use?
Every one of them. I think everybody
I
that's
think
in that
that
American
some
Freedom to
people,
Fascism video is in jail or pending legal
would be
investigation right now.
opponents to it, but in talking about the general population, which doesn't ideologically
Trump seems
lean
to be doing pretty
strongly one way or the other, that's
Because
what would
a
event-
lot of these positions are actually predetermined by something that is very deep, something that is psychological, and something that is genetic, as it seems in a lot of cases.
Another one.
Such as
Another one.
Height's work in
Another
psychology and his
Another
study. That's
one.
the most extensive study of
Another one.
ideology and personality
Another
traits
one.
ever conducted,
Another
which has
one.
a sample size of 100,000, where it looks at different personality traits with people who identify as liberal, conservative, or libertarian. It seems that this opposition to the suppression of non-violent but nonetheless immoral behavior that libertarians have is determined by having an extremely low disgust scale, and that throughout the rest of mankind, people that aren't libertarian, they have an innate desire to police other people and to see non-violent behavior that they disagree with culled in a violent way, well, an organized violent way, such as through state policy.
I haven't read that study, but that wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but I don't understand exactly what you're saying.
It's also, well, I'm just trying to say that I don't think everyone would hop on this bandwagon of saying, well, the state, all they do is take our income. I think people actually like organized violence, and they feel like organized violence civilizes them.
So what I'm saying is that most of them would, and because most of them would, because most of the people don't fall into those the bandwagon of people who have deep psychological issues and want to violently suppress other people.
No, I'm not saying these are deep psychological issues. The propensity to feel disgust towards human activity is literally in the brain. The exact same process of feeling disgust towards eating something that you don't like or smelling something that smells bad. They literally stem from the exact same process, and the disgust scale as a metric is something that is measured throughout all of humanity. The outliers are libertarians who don't have this high sense of disgust and have an extremely low one.
Libertarians don't have a high level of disgust.
It's not fear. It's not something that makes you want to get away with it. It's something that makes you want to burn it.
Part of that
one of the biggest failures of liberal historians is to look at, say, somebody in history like Adolf Hitler and to say he was scared of the Jews. In reality, he was disgusted by the Jews because he wanted to burn them. He wanted to destroy them. And the reason why he had a propensity to act violently through his policies was because of the disgust scale that he had, which is something that is measured throughout everybody.
Well, I think that
I think we all can establish that SO has
I don't
no
necessarily
think
whatsoever. That because someone is disgusted by something that they want to burn it.
No, that's just a metaphor, and we don't have to stick with disgust. We can look at all the other personality traits. Like the biggest predictor of political liberalism is obviously agreeableness.
Voltaire is actually Obama.
If you look at other personality traits that use a different model from the Big Five, which is also discussed in Haidt's study, for instance, fantasy, another very big predictor of liberalism. These are things that would make you want to suppress people's ability to disassociate from groups that they don't like. That is an example of how they would want to violently...
Oh, come on. Like, if you look at...
non-violent behavior that is still nonetheless...
Obama-Biden, right?
Because they have high agreeableness.
And you cross your eyes, it kind of looks like Osama bin Laden.
Police disagreeableness, and they see disagreeable people...
Yeah,
perhaps as their competitors in many
Obama
ways,
is a Muslim.
This is confirmed very much so in Haidt's work. So that's an example of somebody that is not conservative, because disgust is the biggest
Obama is a
gay
man.
That is an example of somebody that is not conservative and doesn't want to
are
suppress
you implying that
non-conservative
will show
behavior, but in
Obama
fact
is
wants to
trapped?
suppress non-liberal behavior.
She's not even a trap. She is just a man.
Trait of high agreeableness. So that's another example of how somebody would demand a state to suppress non-violent but nonetheless unethical behavior, and they are also predisposed to that through their personality.
What was the quote from the live stream?
All of our genes lead us to where we are.
Man.
Sorry?
She got, man.
Doesn't mean that they demand a state. It means necessarily they could possibly, that could be a driving force behind why people would actually form private communities. But again, I would need to actually read the study that you're talking about.
It's called Understanding Libertarian Morality. It's by Jonathan Haidt. But what I'm saying is that they want to, with the example of disgust, like with Adolf Hitler, he didn't want to just not be away from the Jews, he wanted them to suffer. And it's the same with disgust. When somebody acts in a way that you are disgusted by, you seek retribution. You don't just seek to deter yourself away from that person or to separate yourself from them. And it's the same.
That explains the entire reason we're here.
Act towards like a Christian baker that does want to serve a gay person, even though that isn't an example of disgust scale. It's an example of high agreeableness, high fantasy, and so forth. And they see this person as a
who are you? Are you like conservative guys?
Excuse me.
It's like I think RK selection theory is still a good model to explain this.
You don't know who I am.
They want punishment for this person. They don't just simply want them to associate.
20 subscribers on YouTube.
Well, the difference here now, from former
I'm a household name.
Individualist anarchism is that now the great thing about agorism is
that the world's leading anti-ethicist.
Even if the state was funded,
I've spoken to Sargon with Cobb before.
Firms, which, you know,
23
are
subscribers, sir.
More innovative, they're more expansive, and they have better.
I've spoken to Sargon with Cobb before, a Fabian socialist, about three academics.
Now is that once the state,
I've debated with Shane and
this
Issa.
time, that's pretty much it. The state's
I feel bad
gone.
for you.
I mean, the reason it's gone to begin with is because we've decentralized the currency. So.
Okay, I have nothing against an anarchist
I'm also working on disproving Jim
There's an
Jesus'
anarchist
existence.
society, I would probably even want to live there, to be honest. But I'm just saying that I don't I'm not fully convinced. Firstly, that this anarchic society could really sustain itself,
Wait,
but
Prom,
secondly,
I know how we're
that
doing it.
you can
not
suppress
idea.
the
True,
demand
Tom.
for the state long enough to actually produce like an anarchic
I,
society. And firstly, it's for the
more than
reasons
you.
that I've just given. But secondly, historically, we're talking about the democratic state that we live in now, but democracy is the least natural mode of governance. Democracy only arises through violence and through revolution and through the expansion of democratic states that have already had these internal revolutions and then conquering other states and tearing down their mode of governance and replacing it with the democratic one. Historically, the most natural mode of governance is monarchic, and how monarchic governments form throughout all of human history is via the natural aristocracy. There are men that seek to transcend other men through great efforts and monopolize their skill, and often that skill might be jurisprudence, or in the old world, the warrior would rise up and monopolize the legal system, and people would feel very comfortable being ruled by people that they see as transcendent to them. You know, this is like the idea of the god emperor and so forth. And I just don't think historically.
Okay, yeah, let's kill this debate there.
Pierre Trudank debate with him.
Oh God!
What? What happened?
The Pierre Trudank. He did a debate with Pierre Trudank. That's how I ended up becoming his foe, because I was just politely disagreeing with him in the comments, and he was trying to paint me out to be a communist and deleting my comments. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
But Jim, you are a communist.
Clearly.
Yes. With that yellow and black logo of yours, man. It's totally obvious.
Hoppians are basically ANCOMs.
Right. No, they are they're ANPRIMs. Because here's how it works. Hoppians are ANCOMs. And ANCOMs are ANPRIMs. Therefore, cars are fruit.
Dude.
It's basic logistics.
Cars of fruit is my favorite one. Holy shit.
Do you define logistics?
When you fuck children, epic style.
It's when you prove ethics by mailing stuff through FedEx.
Oh God. My will to live just plummeted.
Common activity you share with a group of people.
Well, here's a question for McToast. Is he still here?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Not mentally. What do you want?
Gamers from Kami is horrible. Thank you. I'm retweeting that. So, in that debate, he was talking about examples of like libertarian societies. I'm not exactly sure if they would describe it as libertarian societies, and he brought up, what was it? These ancient trade routes that were going on back in the day, and he was like saying, like, well, before there were states, there was still these ancient trade routes. Is that pretty much what he was saying? I wasn't sure that I'm not strawmanning him, because that's a thing he does.
Yeah. I believe that was the purpose.
Yeah, before there were states, which is like what, like he says it's something like 3,500, or like 8,000 thereabouts. There was 90,000 years ago already trade.
Oof, you cut out.
It says that there were 90,000 years ago there were already trade routes, and states only formed 8,000 or so years ago. Libertarians want states.
Yeah, so I posted in the chat, and was it an I for NCAP, or what's his name? NCAP I? You know what I'm talking about.
I for Ancapistan.
Yeah, an I for Ancapistan.
Oh, yeah. Something like that.
I can never remember his name. I said, like, I'll tweet you later because SO banned me in the chat, and then I couldn't find him all night. I finally found it at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. But I basically said, like, that's not, you can't say that's the exact same thing as anarcho-capitalism, because anarcho-capitalism, first of all, you're talking about capitalism, where you're having like multi-stage productions in order to produce goods and services for people. And most of the trades that go on in an economy are not, B2C, they're B2B, meaning they're business to business, not business to customers. People are selling non-consumer goods, capital goods, those sorts of things. Raw iron ore, iron ingots and all that stuff. And I was saying, like, if you're having trade like that, and you're using money instead of just direct barter like those ancient ones were, they were going like, hey, we're going to go to India, we're going to trade them whatever they want, what in our land for spices, like they're going to want, like, statues, and they're going to want rum and beer. Let's bring that to them, and then we'll trade it directly for it. So they were doing direct barter. It's a completely different thing than saying, like, okay, we're going to use cash money. We're going to use a medium of exchange in order to exchange goods and services from particular businesses. And we're not just going to get raw products with one or two ingredients that was made by one or two people. At best, you had, like, someone who went down and chopped some trees. They bought some trees and then used it at their blacksmithing mill to make a knife. And most of that stuff was made in whatever, and they just put a piece of wood on it for a handle. Like, you're taking, like, iron ore, and then that comes out from somewhere else, and then they sell that, and then they transform it somehow, and they make iron into steel, and then they make that steel into something else, and they mix it with other minerals and stuff, and you have, like, multi-stage productions. Things like nitinol. I contacted a guy who made nitinol, who worked for a company who made nitinol, which is that kind of memory metal that you see that you can bend, and then you can put a heater up to it or a lighter to it, and it bends back into shape. And I was saying, like, how long does it take from it to get from ore, like from the nickel and titanium, from that ore, all the way down to, like, an ingot before it even mix it into, like, a spring or whatever that they can sell to some science lab or whatever. And he was like 5 years. So it takes 5 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, it takes 5 years to make all that production. That's a completely different system than back in those primitive days where they're like, oh, we just cut down some papyrus and press it into paper. And, like, Jose does over there by himself. Or whatever ancient name that they had back then. Like, that's a completely different system. And I don't know. It's just things like that. Things like, oh, the Wild West was anarchic. It's like, well, no, it's a glimmer of what an anarcho-capitalist society would be. But they still were under the federal government. They still were under the federal government in a lot of respects. Not completely. Like I said, it's a glimmer. It does show that, like, it's at least somewhat viable. But you can't say that that's an anarcho-capitalist society. That's what we want. Is it fair to say?
The sad thing is, there's more examples of anarcho-communist societies than anarcho-capitalist land.
I'm sorry?
There's more examples of anarcho-communist societies than anarcho-capitalist land.
Yeah, because there was two. And the people that went into it had that ideology. We want to make an anarcho-capitalist society. Or a communist society, where no one has ever done that and actually pulled it off.
There's Revolutionary Catalonia during the Spanish Civil War.
Which was a nightmare.
And the other one was the French Paris Commune in 1848.
Which was terrible. And then you also had the Ukraine, which was a complete nightmare. That was a straight fascist dictatorship.
The free territory of Ukraine.
Yeah. It's so bad that even a lot of ANCOMs go, yeah, you're right, it's not ANCOM. We'll give you that.
Polonium.
I heard somewhere they actually had to embrace some type of free market thing or market. I don't know.
Well, you have to, otherwise you'd be trudging in the dirt.
Like, did they do that in the free territory of Ukraine?
I know that they had, like, censorship, like anything that was printed had to be ran through their not government, because it's not a government, it's not a state, it's their union or whatever. I know it's Catalonia. It was the CNT. I don't know what it was for the Ukraine. Or Ukraine, not the Ukraine. They don't want the indefinite article. But yeah.
Also, anarcho-communists are also known for their more illegal activities.
What do you mean, like killing clergy members en masse?
Yeah, that too, and also actively trying to start, like, revolutions in other countries.
On their concentration camps, that was a thing.
Also, in the 19th century, they tried to assassinate, like, several political figures. So let's say, yeah, maybe anarchists can be seen as terrorists.
Yeah, that's why I usually don't use that term a lot of the times. I'll say I'm anti-state because I don't want to be lumped in with the unless I'm trying to be like edgy. Like if I work for someone, they're like, "Oh, wait, you didn't like Trump or Clinton, but where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm an anarchist," just to fuck with them.
That's why I adapted voluntarist.
Yeah, but if I'm really interested, if I think they were really interested in the ideas, then I'll be like, "Well, what do you know about Alberts?"
Pragmatism is the big.
So are we? So is the debate over? Because I've not been watching it.
No.
I have
Yeah,
not.
we paused it a while back. We're done with that.
Yeah.
They were just cleaning house. He was just like he tore him up to shreds, and the end of it's just him like, all right, scooping everything up into a pile and putting it in the trash and mopping the floor.
You know the sad thing is that he made a video the next day about logic and egoism, and he did not learn anything or took anything away from that debate.
Egoism.
What did you expect?
Is a logical conclusion of empiricism, clearly.
You know, Max Stirner was an extreme rationalist.
Yeah, he was.
He was a faggot.
Well,
actually, I think Max Stirner on a personal level was a terrible person.
Yeah, he most likely was. Yeah. Like he
married
money. He used all of her money to publish a book that never sold, and then used the rest of her money to start a milk shop that couldn't sell milk. And then she left his ass, and then like he was so sad and depressed that he let a bug kill him.
Wait, really?
And he died broke, penniless, and unknown.
Also, let's see. I was in a Twitter group chat, and they just basically say that they were just essentially talking about that stereotype egoism to its fullest is for psychopaths.
I don't agree with that. I don't think it's.
Yeah.
I don't
know,
man.
man.
I don't even like the term Stirnerite egoism. That's not even.
Have you ever
cringe at that term?
Have you ever heard of the illegalist?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they were. That was they mainly was talking about, and they just sort of.
Yeah, like one of my co-hosts, James Weeks, he's an illegalist. I have many disagreements with a lot of my co-hosts. Which the latest episode of my podcast, I did a podcast with MK Lords, and we have a lot of disagreements too. Like I purposely bring people on I bring on co-hosts that I have major disagreements on for like clear reason because it starts a dialogue. And then Broken Microphone like leaves comments and dislike my videos for it. But I love them.
That man.
So who's the conservative voluntarist guy again? What's his name?
Excuse me?
What's your name, dude?
I believe you will reference me by my only true name, Midnight Phantom.
Okay. Okay, how did your debate with Esoteric Entity?
Well, he kicked me after I roasted him.
Well, someone else kicked you.
Yeah.
Well, he
now
had
that
some.
you said that, he's gonna go, aha, I knew it. Jim was manipulating him to believe that I kicked him out of the chat. He's using you.
I was physically removed, so to speak, for roasting him.
Wait. He kicked you out the chat? Like, what chat?
It seems though Filthy did.
Yeah.
Filthy Heretic did?
Yeah.
Like you're in.
It's all allegedly. We don't know who did it exactly, but it seems though it was Filthy.
Wait, was this on Discord or on Twitter?
No, this is on. Yeah, we were on Google, whatever the crap. Don't know why they like to use that damn thing. It's so bad.
Because they don't know how to use OBS properly.
You could just use Discord.
Right.
OBS kind of looks like obese. Dab.
Oh my god.
Got him.
No, yeah.
It took me no time at all to figure out how to do OBS.
I know, yeah.
I had to relearn it again because I didn't use it for so long, and then I started using it again. I just picked it right back up, like no big deal. So I can move the chat around everything. I can even go into my other show, recording
Tech
in progress.
genius.
But I don't have the browser set up for that one. So
Okay, Parmithian. You watched that? You watched my debate with Filthy Heretic, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Voltaire.
And you
He
said
made
he was
me
a
watch it too.
and you said he was a really bad speaker.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't know, like one Jin followers or fans said I was pretty inarticulate in that thing, you know.
What?
Not on the
I
same
think that
level.
was just Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett.
Like,
I mean, even if that could be said, you were still echelons above Filthy.
Because
low key, I'm pretty sure Problem wanted me to watch it because at that point in time he liked Esso and Filthy Heretic. And like I just sort of like spent the whole time going, I don't can this man please take a speech class?
Yeah,
This,
we were both in physical pain.
it was just so hard to listen to. Like it wasn't like someone who has a stutter or someone who uses a few too many like verbal tics. It was just everything bad that you can do when you're speaking live. It was horrible.
oh, so how you would describe my speaking?
I mean, I think you both like it's been a while since I watched it, but I think I remember like you guys weren't quite talking to each other in exactly the way one would hope, and kind of felt like things were going in a circle. But that's me
Oh, yeah.
trying to remember 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Prom?
I have no idea.
Like,
Yeah, no, you were definitely you were at least like able to have the discussion, right? Which it was a little bit of a shit show, but you did.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, you did okay. Good job, Voltaire. Proud of you.
Nice.
But yeah, realistically, I was so focused on how bad Filthy was doing, I didn't care whether you were doing well or not.
See, I try to bring up the David Friedman point that hey, you're committing the act of aggression when you're driving a car.
It's pretty gay, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we still live?
Yeah, we are. I have no idea what tangent we went on there.
Well,
can
he
we-
wanted feedback for his performance.
Oh, true.
Can you watch that debate with Pierre Trudenk?
Oh, God. Another one.
We
had
suffered.
3 hours.
One more, just one more.
Oh, let me see.
No, because that one is extremely long.
Is it?
I'll make it really simple. Esoteric said that the Diamond Lake paradox proves that money gets its value not from labor, but from praxeology. That wasn't a glitch in my
Wait.
it wasn't a glitch in the audio. I did say praxeology, not praxeology, praxeology. That's where money gets its value from.
That's
According to the Diamond Lake paradox.
That doesn't make any type of sense.
Right, because first of all, he was talking about the water diamond paradox, and that doesn't prove that money is determined its value from anything. It just shows that there's a problem with the idea of the labor theory of value, and praxeology doesn't give anything its value. Just determines how you understand. It's just a methodology for understanding how economics works from first principles.
Well, human action more broadly, but
Human
yeah,
action,
usually it's economics.
Study of economics. Study of human action.
Yeah. It's just nobody uses it outside of this
chat
field.
now.
What?
They're going to kick Toast from the chat now, Jim, for mildly correcting.
Oh yeah, I should learn not to.
Yeah, just mute your mic.
Look, I am the professed king of arachno-capitalism here.
You're just
revolution now.
Oh hi,
All right,
I'm the heretic.
Explain this,
I'm
right?
a heretic. Today
Get
I'm
out.
going to debunk all of the silly things that are said by supporters of the so-called arachno-capitalists.
I will get him to make that vid.
Spiders are the way to freedom, my friend. Spiders.
Tonight, I will ask him to say that on recording so I can use it in my video.
So let's see, a conservative. Let's be honest here. A conservative and an anarcho-capitalist debate. That if they're really well read on the material and have honest disagreements, it will be a very lovely dialogue.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Well, it will be lovely in a theoretical sense.
Well, I don't know. I do a show with the conservative libertarian. And
how did that win?
And he's pro-state. I don't know. We're still good buddies. We
Disgusting.
talk about this stuff all the time, too. We'll have discussions.
How can you be
not on the show, but we have discussions about it. He thinks I'm silly for believing that no government can exist, but I'm not going to be like, well, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. D-food.
More than you times 1 million. Have you considered an argument?
Identifying arguments, not an argument.
Should I, for everything that's not an argument tonight, should I just go off and say not an argument, like under my breath?
No. You should be like as civil as possible, but just smugly destroy something towards.
Well, excuse me for interjecting here, but
how dare you interject here? How dare you?
Basically, Midnight Phantom yesterday.
I am a philosopher king. I am Molyneux.
Excuse me, but you're not in the debate.
The reason why you're interjecting here is come from a deep psychological need of being loved by your single mother, dude. Come on.
I think I'm gonna need another Lafroig if I'm gonna have to hear Voltaire keep doing this.
Honestly, I'm gonna need another one. I don't have enough alcohol for Voltaire today.
Another one.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I just stopped.
Please continue. You're giving me an excuse to drink.
I don't know, man. I think it's because you're single mother, man. Because she spanked you, dude. I don't know.
Ironically, my parents are both together, and I was never spanked, so I feel very lucky with my.
My mother broke a spoon on me once.
Also,
excuse. Fucking hell. Defo.
A wooden spoon.
See, but that is the reason why, because you have deep-seated childhood trauma, and that is why you're an ant cap and not an arachno-capitalist.
Okay, Jim,
like
answer me this. Jim,
Not
answer me this. If
libertarians
if arachnids are so good, why do they need 8 legs, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
No, they're great because they have 8 legs.
No. Think about this. Why
they're venomous. And they make their own webs. They build their houses from their asshole.
Hey, Jim,
they
what have you
shit out their homes.
Well, but termites make their mounds with their own saliva, and termite mound is way more impressive than a spider web.
Yes.
Yeah, but they eat at the actual foundations of our existence and turn them into rubble.
Consider the praxeological aspect of the arachnid. Okay? The arachnid holds no inherent value because it's a fiat.
Hey, shiny.
Oh my god.
What have you done for the libertarian movement?
Been cute.
Plan to kill myself.
I literally just sit here and I'm kind of bait for white nationalists to be like, oh my gosh, it's a cute, white, perfect waifu. You're welcome.
Wait, I thought you were Asian. You have a voice of an Asian. You have a voice of an Asian for some reason.
Yeah, that also led to some of them deciding that I must be Asian, but I'm not Asian.
Your voice cute though.
Thank you. I don't
like your
sound
voice
that
too,
squeaky,
Voltaire.
alrighty.
Huh?
We like your voice too, Voltaire. I appreciate your YouTube channel. It makes me happy.
I love this picture, by the way. You can't, you can't see it unless you peek at the stream.
Yeah. It's a good meme.
Wait, people actually watch my.
No, the They Live one. It probably hasn't switched over to the other one yet because I just changed it. Identifying arguments. Yeah, it's not that one. It's the next one.
That's already a view. Oh my.
Yeah.
I feel like I know you, libertarian, voluntarist, conservative guy.
What? Since
I
when
feel
am
like
I
I know you.
conservative?
Well, I think I know you, voluntarist guy.
Yeah, you probably we've met.
When?
You were
It's
on Daps.
okay.
Voltaire, why does this happen every time we come into the server? You're like,
Voltaire never remembers prom.
like, I
Then he
think I
asked
know
me, "Wait,
you."
are you that girl I talked to?"
He's like, I think I know
girl
you.
we
It was like,
talked to once.
like, yes, Voltaire. We talked like 15 minutes ago. Hi.
Wait. I know him. We met before. Like on what server?
How about this? We'll wrap up the stream now, and you guys can get reacquainted for the 8th time.
Honestly. Oh my shit. Oh, so, what have we learned today, everyone?
Esther doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a liar, a thief, and a pervert. Well, maybe not a thief.
And he's not good enough to be a spider or a termite.
I'm going to have to
that-
take. I'm going to have to take a large amount of medication for tonight.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Are you saying the Midnight Phantom is a lie?
Lie! Ow! Lie! You make me sick. There's no my logistics or your logistics. There's
I'm
only
glad I'm wearing
logistics.
headphones.
Goddamn liar.
Hey, Voltaire. I just told my mom I loved her.
You should probably do the same.
Yeah.
So unround toast. Okay.
Hold on. So that is by far the worst way I've heard my name said.
My cat's like freaking out. Like, what the fuck is happening over there?
I've heard unwounded toast, but never unround toast.
All right. Well, let's end this by like promoting your shit so I can get to bed because I have work tonight. Unlike you players.
Oh, I have terrible content, I guess. Bye.
Yeah, Toast has terrible content. I review whiskey.
I talk to a bunch of random people on my channel on a semi-regular basis.
And I will emphasize that it's completely fucking random.
Yeah,
It's
shiny
like,
things.
One day it's like little old
I'll
me.
read edgy
The next,
things in a cute voice if you pay me.
Was that Jim?
yeah, Voltaire will one day he'll be like, oh, I'll just have Jim Jesus on, like a small time YouTuber. The next episode, Walter Block, everybody.
Oof.
And David Friedman.
Yeah, and then follow David Friedman. And
Dr. Paul Gottfried.
Yeah, and then the next episode will be like Pragmat Culture. Who?
Yeah, probably.
Fiery Elmo. I'm not bashing them. I actually do I like his content. I don't agree with him a lot, but
who?
Pragmatic Culture. So yeah, what is your name on YouTube? You change it like every week now. You still Voltaire Bastiat? Voltaire.
Yeah, I'm still further Voltaire Bastiat.
Okay.
Just going by the higher man. I'm just going by both the higher man on other social media spaces.
Cool.
All right.
I
guess I'll wrap this up by saying, "Hail Satan."
Hail Satan!
That's adorable.